streaming. Patreons always don't have the startup card, so it's fine. Welcome to Patreon only game. This is yeah, good times fun. Way of the Ancestors is the name of this game. It is a one-shot that will be taking place in the Seiryu province of my campaign setting. During the course of Gen Con, I acquired a book called Adventures in Rokugan, or Adventures of Rokugan, which is the Legends of the Five Rings D&D 5th edition supplement with all cool classes that are kind of very focused in the world of Rokugan. I've very much taken inspiration from that campaign setting for this portion of my own campaign setting. And as a complete and total hack, I've just gone ahead and converted the material therein to narrowly or barely fit my own campaign setting. Despite that, I do understand that this is a group of all white folk who are playing a game set in an Asian themed realm. So we are going to approach the material very, very respectfully. We do not want to cause any offense. I think the only person who will be doing a voice is the person playing a Tengu, and it's flawless. So, I mean, bird voice is always good. That said, to kind of put us into the position here, it's unfortunate that we had two kind of last minute deviations. So I will be kind of working towards that in a way to kind of help with that. Dan, I know it's last minute. I'm going to ask you if you're comfortable with this. If not, just tell me. But if I were to take you and shove you into the character I'd had set up for Ched, would you be
Sure.
okay?
If it would work best for the game, yeah.
Because Kotoko Keiji and Kaneru Saza, as we'll learn shortly, are aligned. They're two characters that are working together, whereas Hito Uchi was kind of the character that was last minute. You were the last person who was kind of in the game. So I've given you the character sheet. So I'll go ahead and quickly explain that to you. And just so you know, Bushi is very much like a hybrid of fighter and kind of stances and techniques. It's a very cool class. So I'm just going to quickly change that on you. And thank you so much. Cool. So your character, Dan, and your character, Tom, have traveled here from kind of more inland Seiryu. We're on the border region of Seiryu, near the Parnak and Seiryu border. Now, it's been mentioned a couple of times in older games, specifically one set in Parnak, that Seiryu and Parnak have a tense border, but not due to the fact that the nations are at kind of an unrest. There's no problems between Parnak and Seiryu. The problem is Seiryu is not a society that is kind of all under one umbrella. There are provincial lords, kind of sectional segments, and groups that have kind of removed themselves from leadership and have kind of sworn themselves to different powers than the empire of Seiryu. Parnak is not as divided on its borderlands. However, there are a couple of rogue elements who are kind of war blind and sometimes attack a little further into Seiryu than is needed. And so what I mean to say is effectively bandit groups on Seiryu or kind of rogue elements will attack into Parnak, and then they will come back into Seiryu, and this will cause problems from Parnak attacking because they're not differentiating the rogue elements and the peaceful borderlanders of Seiryu. This has caused problems in the town of Bakuyo, which is the town that this will be taking place near, mainly because there has been a bit of unrest at their grand temple. And there was a very large conflict at that. Hello? Oh, sorry. There was a very large conflict at that Grand Temple, and there was also a lot of spiritual and also seismic activity in that temple that caused it to kind of fall apart on its inside. The exterior of the temple and the small town outside of it, an aspect of Bakuyo, is fine and could be utilized. However, there's been kind of reports that there have been bad spiritual activities. And Saishi, this is where you come in. You're well aware of these bad spiritual activities, this strange kind of spiritual malignance. And it's mainly important to you because you know that Bakuyo was initially started as a Tengu town, basically where the Tengu would train humans in this region, the art of the sword and the art of grace, the art of civility, in a sense. This is in the time long ago. Well before anybody here is kind of present. It's more mythology to everyone else, but it's understood tradition to Saishi. And that's why you've come to this space. And Kanaru Saza and Kutoki Keiji have come to this place because they are here to witness the blessing of this new shrine to the town of Bakuyo. This new place where hopefully they'll be able to kind of create a spiritual basically band-aid. They want to kind of heal the wound that was caused by this conflict in the mountains. At least that's what you've been told. And Akane, Name, and her, that would be Victor's character. It's gonna be so
It's fine.
it's gonna. I put it on the thing as Victor, aka Dieter. So I'm gonna.
Good. That's what I am.
That's correct.
I should go by Clint in Texas. Thank you very much.
God, no! Don't do a third one.
Yeah, he's gonna have to have an extra widescreen portrait so you can fit all of his aliases in there underneath.
I won't lie though. I do like Clint. That is pretty good. But that said, you've been sent here by the Empire, by the Imperial courts, to oversee this blessing, this sanctification of the shrine, and just to ensure it goes off without a hitch. Obviously, as a member of the court, you really don't have any spiritual connections that anyone is aware of anyways. You don't have any like kind of potent spiritual connections, but you do have a kind of political nuance that's kind of important to ensure this does happen correctly. And your associate, who will be present because kind of needed, is the second son of the region's lord, or daimyo, Byako Seiji. And the White Tiger clan is the main faction that's kind of present here that is absolutely in alignment with the Empire and is absolutely focused on dispatching the bandit groups and kind of miscellaneous mercenary armies that have risen up to cause problems with Parnak. And they're very much interested in making sure that this town gains a bit of spiritual well-being with this this festival. So you've arrived in town and then moved through the town to the north side of it, where a path leads underneath Torii Arch and heads over a very ornate bridge. It seems like a series of makeshift small tiny shops have been set up. I'll say shops, more like just carts and kind of just, vendor stations, and all sorts of different things are happening here as the festival has kind of gotten underway. It looks like on your left side before the bridge, you see that there is a person selling food, mostly food that's kind of why is my brain kebab style, kind of just on sticks. The next booth, which has a token noted there, but again, for theater of the mind, imagine there are a lot more people in this space than just the tokens that are present. The individual there is a smiling man who is wearing kind of heavier kimono, as it is a bit colder. It's fall, and he is selling warm, small kind of cups. Look like they're kind of disposable cups, nothing to, probably just paper folded into a cup shape, filled with kind of something steaming, warm broth or brew. And then on the left side, once more over, there's small little vendor. The rest of the vendors aren't terribly important. The only one that's kind of noteworthy, this one with little chairs out in front of it, is actually a puppet show, and there's other kind of things happening throughout. But yeah, as you kind of enter into the town, I'll start with Tom and Dan. What would you two like to do as you enter into the town?
I can't move my token.
That's okay. I'll get it here in 1 second.
Just letting you know. Saza, should we head to the temple?
I think so. That's my main focus. We can look at the stalls along the way.
I'm going to open up a Google Doc for my own peace of mind. Would you do me a favor and remind me of the name of the young person who I am here with?
Sure. Byako Seiji.
Yako Seiji.
And if you look in the journal, you should see all of the character names. So this will be the one right underneath.
Oh, there it is. This is a lesson for our viewers. To those of us who are new to Roll20, all this information is hidden in here somewhere.
Absolutely. Once you get used to it, it's actually very intuitive, and Roll20 is, in my opinion, it is the best tabletop, like online tabletop system for role playing. But that said, you and Bianco have entered into the town as well, Name, and he is a very serious person. Just very, very serious, very stern individual, and he'll be more so since I'm going to be role-playing him kind of curtly, just for the purposes of not having to be too terribly invested in that.
Oh, I got it. Talk to Biako in my on-screen time a lot to really drag you into the spotlight. So, Biako-san, tell me. My kid.
It's fine. You can if you want to.
Help me understand my role a little bit more clearly. I am coming to this town for the ritual for the new shrine, right? To the blessing of the town's new shrine.
To ensure that nothing goes wrong in the process.
Byako has been sent with me as my
champion,
bodyguard,
protector.
my Yojimbo, I think would be the old Rokugan term.
Correct. Yojimbo's fair.
How is his what is my relationship with his father, and why was Byako sent with me? Have I been able to discern any of that through small talk during the travel?
As you were sent by the imperial court, a guest of honor in these lands, his father sent Byako Seiji as the individual to protect you for two reasons, and these would have been kind of elucidated to you prior to arriving in this territory. The son, the firstborn son of the daimyo, is kind of his direct heir, and has basically taken to more court etiquette and maintaining governance. Whereas Byako Seiji has been taught the art of the sword, a tradition that is proudly boasted amongst the White Tiger clan. They are very well known for their, not only their ferocity in combat, but also their prowess in just one-on-one engagements, dueling.
So is it an honor for him to be assigned to escort me here, or is this drudge work for him?
This would be an honor for him. Yes, because again, you are an individual of the Imperial Court. The best way to kind of give you an idea of like what your station level is, to put it in Rokugani terms, is you're like a seppu.
Does he feel that way?
Yeah.
Does he have any reservations about this position?
He's absolutely honored. He's so far dutifully kind of escorted you, because he isn't being played by a person. I will say that he has been very duteous, very. He doesn't really seem to have much of a character in that he hasn't really, mentioned a lot about the area.
Almost like he's a non-player character.
Almost like,
Gotcha.
well,
Okay.
he's less than a non-player character at this point for me in my mind.
I will begin to avail myself of the various vendors and food carts, and I will use my courtier ways to try and suss out the feeling among the crowd. How do they feel about the new shrine? How do they feel about the celebration? Are spirits high or low or mixed?
Go ahead and make an insight roll for me, and
Insight.
I will backtrack to you once I get through Tim's initiation here. So you're a rare sight to behold, Saishi, and you have traveled around this section of Seiryu quite a bit, so you're not unfamiliar with the stairs and the looks. Most townsfolk in towns that you pass through look at you as an omen of good fortune when you kind of grace their town. And some of them understand, like when they see you, the way you are dressed, the garb that you wear, like what services you perform as a kind of benevolent member of the kind of religious sect of Seiryu. And this is no different. As you enter into this town, like a lot of folks are like, very happy to see you, and very forward with their requests to kind of ask you for, words of guidance or some other measure of your benevolence.
Yeah. As I approach taking in the sights as well, kind of making my way over to the food vendor to see what is this great smell.
Oh, the vendor looks up to you and kind of holds out a what appears to be a decently sized, river trout, kind of on a stick, roasted, and it looks like it's been deboned, but it doesn't look like most or any part of the flesh has been removed. It looks like they pulled the skull out and everything, so like the eyes and everything are still present. Delicious.
May I have some of your wares?
Absolutely, it'd be my honor for you to take it.
Oh, if you need any guidance, come see me. I will help you as best the spirit's guide.
They're very, very gracious, and as you kind of like stand there at the stall, other folks are kind of coming around, and viewing you. The other people who kind of moved in before Saishi, you definitely notice that like there's an element there behind you, as that's kind of coming to be. But yeah, Saza and Keiji, you two have entered town. You're moving through, kind of looking at these vendors. As I mentioned, it looks like a rice wine dealer here on the left side. This is the food vendor, also with rice wine available. Looks like they're almost like a dueling pair, like fighting over who has the better wine. But this other little shrine here looks like it's actually more a permanent structure, and a couple of monks are pouring water into similar cups and offering this crystal clear water that's inside of their little shrine here. Looks like a small well is inside.
I am quite parched.
Yes, let's have some water before continuing. It's a long walk up these stairs, man.
I'm not carrying you this time.
The
Not doing it.
long spoons are kind of dipped into the well, and they kind of pour your cups and hand them over to you. The monks in question are not too, they're not too talkative. There is one individual in the group that does seem to be the one kind of speaking directly to individuals, and it seems like most of the folks are talking about or asking the monks their thoughts on the transference is what they keep mentioning. and the monks seem to be a bit tight-lipped regarding any replies regarding that. It's mostly just vagaries like, oh, it's going wonderfully.
Just for my own clarification, these monks aren't related to the new shrine, or is it all kind of just
so
all one?
Monks typically reside in a monastery, so a shrine would be more kind of a priestly thing.
Okay.
So these monks appear to be here as part of the festival, and are kind of just working this specific section on behalf of the shrine.
With my knowledge of history, would I have any idea of like transference of like a religious sect or like a power that they may be referencing in a vague way?
Understanding transference would be more of a religious role.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's my specialty. Let's roll.
Something that Saza would do, but if you want to roll a history check, you can, regarding just the transference is some sort of religious practice that happens between shrines. You're not sure what it means religiously. You just know that when an old shrine leaves and a new shrine comes to be, transference takes place, and presumably some sort of favor with the spirits, movement from one shrine to the next. But again, the monks seem to be tight-lipped regarding the matter in question. And as you're moving through the area, Victor, and you're listening, you do hear a lot of folks are happy, but some are kind of there's a bit of trepidation in the part or the festival as well. Folks seem to be kind of mentioning that they hope that the shrine is blessed by the spirits, because as of late it's the end of summer and the summer has been very dry, and so there is a lot of, like, even the trees are already starting to deposit their leaves quite early, despite the fact that it's not even gotten too terribly cold as of yet.
Right. Tell me more about these two dueling vendors.
Absolutely. So if you kind of go over to them and look at their kind of banners and markings, it seems that the individual who is tokened seems to call himself Kenji, the greatest rice wine maker in all of the lands. The other appears to...
Quite a boast.
Quite a boast indeed. The other one says that he is the White Tiger's Pantry is the name of his little vendor cart, and from what you can tell, the wine doesn't seem to be their specialty, but if you listen to the people, it sounds like the thing that they're pushing, the vendor there, is that these two, the wine and the food, the pairing together is more satisfactory than this Kenji's.
Interesting. Is Kenji selling food?
He's not. He's selling just alcohol. And it looks like...
Oh, my favorite.
Very
Is there any relationship between the White Tiger provisions and the White Tiger clan from which my emotionless companion comes from?
The emotionless companion would explain that no, they are simply just members of the common folk in our lands who take honor in serving us delights. Seiji would say, I quite favor their food and drink over the annoyingly pretentious wines of Kenji.
Okay, here it is then. I'm going to go and try wine from the pretentious one. Then I'm going to go over to White Tiger and I'm going to get a wine and whatever they recommend to pair it with and try it. And which one actually is better? In
an almost shaft-like way, Kenji kind of moves forward.
You gotta stop. The viewers don't know what you're talking about.
No, inside jokes. It's just for you. It's just for you. We don't actually have much of a viewers. It's mostly just for me for watching back, so it's fine. He says, welcome, welcome. I am Kenji Hogai, and you are the honored guest. Oh, Excellent, excellent. I have 3 options available to you. I assume you would like plum wine.
What are the other options?
Oh, rice wine and cloudier rice wine.
Tell me, the player, out of character, what are the social implications of those 3 options?
Plum wine is more.
Plum wine sounds like it's for women.
Yeah,
No
and it's also
offense, this is
well, yeah, and it honestly, like in this version of it, there's no kind of women and men.
stereotyped medieval Asia.
Yeah, well, there's also no like gender like norms in high societies. We very much have women can do the same thing men are doing, and men can do the same thing as women, and bees can do that too. But yeah,
Plum wine won't stain my clothes.
This is good. This is a better society than the real one, then. So tell me, what are the social implications of these 3 drink options?
certainly. So plum wine is a very festive and bright drink, so it's definitely going to be something for someone who is not a drinker. So if you don't want to come off as a drinker, you want to be seen as a teetotaler, this would be the drink for you. And then the cloudier rice wine would be the safer option, as it won't be as fermented as the distilled kind of like more crystal rice wine.
You said the cloudy is the harder one because it's not distilled.
No, it's the easier one to palate. So it's kind of the middle ground. The cloudy is the middle. The plum is like the baby drinker person, and then
give me that clear stuff. Give me that refined.
He says
special.
Plum wine is Zima, right? Is that what you're getting at?
Baby.
Yeah, plum wine is like the cocktail, like very vibrantly.
100%.
Yeah, and
the White Claw
the White Claw.
Yeah, it's the White Claw.
So
let's not disparage a good White Claw on a hot Texas day, shall we? Having said that, I will take and drink the hardest, toughest thing that they've got.
He pours it very neatly.
Specifically trying to draw attention to myself.
He pours it very neatly.
Courtier-like way.
As you're doing so, it did sound like Saishi kind of came over. So there's now a Tengu standing near you. Hogai hands you the cup. It does look like instead of giving you the paper cups, he has handed you a small porcelain cup with the wine in it. And his face is absolutely
fire of anything.
He's treating you with a little bit more respect than the typical fare. And he immediately after handing the cup over to you, kind of puts his hands back into his sleeves and kind of like smiles, very happy that you're trying his beverage.
Love it. And he's standing me a little bit. I will demur to him at an appropriate level and note that I will wait until my distinguished friend has been served, and I will motion appropriately to my Tengu companion.
Okay. He looks to Saishi and almost without even asking, like he moves towards the plum wine, kind of making a gesture as if to ask without saying anything. This is the one you want, correct?
Well, yes.
Smiles, pours it into a cup, an actual porcelain cup, and hands that to Saishi. And as you two are sitting,
spirits guide us on our day.
Yes, I'll look to Saishi and I'll make the appropriate like motions that I need to do to like toast a drink at the beginning of a festival and drink with Tengu.
So Saishi, I don't know if you have persuasion trained. It's been a while since I've looked at the character sheets.
Me?
Saishi.
Oh.
I definitely know you do.
I do not.
Okay, so
do I ever?
What you would know, Saishi, being familiar with the etiquette of kind of Seiryu, is that a lot of it has kind of roots in the Tengu and other of the ancient races. There's also the bear folk. There's also the turtles. There are also the hare folk, which are like rabbit people. And then there was one other one who's the lion people. And so like these ancient races were kind of the original inhabitants of this region, and they kind of formed together what eventually became the traditions of the region. And so it looks like this individual is an astute, very astute presenter of these things. And the other thing you're noticing as it's happening is I'm going to post a picture of your characters so you have a kind of good look. I don't know why I don't have those handouts already. That's weird. I made them. I definitely made them. Whoa. Okay, roll 20. You're gonna fight me now? I just said you were great. Why
Red
would
flag, delay of game.
you? I just said you were cool. No, it's still cool. I think I might have just accidentally put them in the wrong game, like a dum-dum. I was working on another game earlier today, so. But if you look at Name directly, you'll note that she does appear to be human, but it looks like her eyes are kind of gold instead of just a regular kind of color. And you would take this to note that she is kind of a creature of the spirit realm, possibly one of the higher heavens.
Is that common enough knowledge among the proletariat that seeing my eye color would give that away?
Religion trained is kind of a prerequisite to understand that.
Gotcha.
And you'll note that you have a trait that says there's a trait that you have because of your unique existence that says because you are so kind of just imbued with this uniqueness, you're
Gorge.
intimidating.
That's true. I do have Intimidate as a trade skill because I am such a baller.
Yeah, and I think you have something.
The important thing, though, is I do want to walk across the pathway to the White Tiger Provisions, and I want to get one of their lower class drinks and one of their fine snacks, and want to try them together. And I want to know, meta level, you're the DM. You can speak only the truth. Whose is better?
So I'm going to put this to you in a way that you will understand, that will give you as a player a meta understanding of what your character is currently experiencing. This is the best way I can give it to you. Imagine that you are given 2 drinks. One of those drinks is knob whiskey. The other is a 12-year-old single malt scotch. These are the 2 things that have been given to you. Now, the knob whiskey is also given to you with any food that you think would go really well with a whiskey, because that's what they're giving to you for the analogy's purpose. The pairing makes a good, unique, and flavorful, just kind of rich, palate blossoming kind of taste, but the whiskey is definitely subpar to the rice wine rather, is definitely subpar to what you drink at Kenji's stall.
I will make sort of the exact same sort of like physical herbal ascent to deliciousness for both of them so that any interested onlookers could not tell which I prefer.
And I would think that Saishi kind of didn't get the wine from the White Tiger vendors. Is that right? You just got the food, right?
Yeah, I just got a fish.
And then you got the alcohol from Kenji. So you're kind of experiencing the best of both worlds. Like it's literally a very unique combination that you created here. And it looks like the 2 of them are noticing this and kind of looking at each other like, hey.
Blooming partnership?
Perhaps. The 2 of you over at the water section, obviously this is a bit of a display. Some people are kind of stopping and talking to the what appears to be bodyguard of the, for lack of a better term, damsel that appears to be present here. The maiden. It's just a weirder word too. A courtier.
There you go. Call me what I
am. But yeah, it seems like he's someone of import too. Yeah, if either of you have history trained, you would know why. He is the second son of the daimyo of the area.
From here, even though I'm religious trained, I probably can't pick up on the eye color or anything like that.
Oh, it's very noticeable. It's very hard to not see it. So if you have religion trained, it's like an immediate, I understand that this is a unique existence being not a human.
It appears all the dignitaries are coming here from this realm and beyond.
Quite the display for the festival. It has probably brought people far and wide. I wonder if those across the Parnan border may be here. Would there be any dignitaries from Parnak that would come here? Okay, cool.
It's a pretty small town, and it's a pretty small shrine.
Gotcha.
And that begs the question then, right? Like, okay, it's a small town.
Mm-hmm.
Why was I, an imperial person, sent here to keep an eye on the proceedings? I'm not a shrine maiden. I'm not a religious person. I'm a political person.
Correct. So let me explain
politics, again. Specifically. Zoom in on the politics.
This is a border town. This is a place that could eventually be a place of import. To ensure that the peasant folk, the commoners, are very well treated and are in a good spirit is very important to the imperial city, because we
don't want them shifting alliances, among other things.
We don't want them joining with anybody besides the empire. We don't want them joining any kind of bandit cells, mercenary companies, makeshift armies of, renegade lords. We want them to remain loyal to the empire. And so the best way to do that is to take an express interest in them and show them that you care.
Make them feel important.
Absolutely. And this is important to them, so making sure...
Is anybody taking mind of the Kenku's combination of food and alcohol?
Tengu. Kenku and Tengu are different. It's okay. But yeah.
This is somewhat half Dungeons and Dragons and half not.
Well, both...
I get a little lost in the between.
Yeah, both exist, and they're different. Kenku are wingless, and Tengu have wings. So Saishi does have wings. It does seem that the only people that really noticed would probably be you. Saishi doesn't seem to care about the broader implications, I assume, right, Tim?
No, I'm enjoying what I see.
It's so good. But the merchants appear to notice, and are very focused on this kind of situation. They don't seem to be doing anything about it yet, but it does look like they are kind of still working.
I will stand near the Tengu, and I will make a slightly loud enough to be overheard gesture, saying something to the effect of, what a wonderful example of the Empire's greatest winemakers and purveyors of fine foods, expressed in, like the unparalleled bouquet of flavors.
I get you.
I want to
go ahead and make
I'm trying to spread a compliment to both of them. I'm trying to create an obvious implication for their business futures. But I also want to tie that identity to them as servants of the Empire so that everybody comes out smelling like roses.
Make a persuasion roll. It does sound like the wording is...
How dare you make me...
No, it's really good. I'm definitely taking
things in character that I cannot physically do out of character.
That's more than fair. So what... You kind of go on for a bit, but the words that roll out of your mouth... 17's not bad. It's bad for you, but sure. The words that kind of roll out of your mouth are obviously more erudite from the character than they are from the player. Of course, you're playing... Again, I don't play a fighter that can... I can't swing a sword, so yeah, I get it. But that said, her words are very, very focused on the scope of making sure that Saishi's wisdom is what's kind of bringing this idea together, and that these two vendors seem to have their strengths, and the strength of this merger between the food from the food provisions and the wine from the from Kenji stall would be more palatable. And what you notice is a lot of the peasants are ordering food on one side, but no wine. And a lot of folks are ordering wine from Kenji and kind of moving them together. Like, it looks like there's a very clear dynamic happening here. Is everyone's trying to do the same thing. And as this is kind of happening, you kind of move away, and it looks like they're getting a bit more business at this point. Cool. I want to focus back in on Sansa and Keiichi just to give you a bit of time. Obviously, the monks are boring. But if there's anything
after exchanging quick greetings and pleasantries with the head monk that was actually talking to people, I assume we'll head on deeper towards the shrine.
Okay. Yeah, you'd pass by a couple more stalls. These are not food vendors. It seems like one's selling charms. Another one is, well, not really selling, more kind of giving away charms. Another one looks like it is, and that would be this one. It looks like a puppet show. And there are a couple of kids who are kind of seated on these cushions, kind of watching the show as it's being done. And I don't know if you've ever seen like traditional kind of Japanese puppet shows, but it looks like they're telling a story. And if you have history trained, you recognize the story immediately. It is the duel between Byakuo Seishan Subeta and Masusario Ujezane at the climax of the Way of the Legend story. The duel continues on and is deftly won by Masusario Ujezane. Byakuo Seishan Subeta allows for Ujezane to win, as previously discussed, and Ujezane is granted one favor from the Emperor, and he asks the Emperor to remove himself from his throne. And when this happens, all the little kids are like, "Oh!" And the Emperor kind of like, flails out like aghast at this political deception. And very shortly thereafter, the Ujezane puppet is being kind of paraded around with a really cool, solid black, wide-brimmed hat with the symbol of the yesteryear's ruling body, effectively a shogunate that was kind of put in place during this epoch of Seryujin history. Very well-known story to someone who doesn't have history trained, to just a bunch of puppets. But yeah, very clearly not that Takagi.
Applaud politely at the end of the show and then continue on to the stall that has the charms. Just
okay. Standing, and that'll be this one here, standing next to the stall, as it looks like two kind of elderly women are kind of the ones supervising this little stall here, but standing next to it is a man wearing very regal looking attire. He has white dyed hair, which is a common sign amongst officials in this region. Many who have sworn themselves to the White Tiger clan will either dye their hair white or kind of dye stripes into their hair to kind of show their allegiance. And this guy is no different. It does look like, according to his monikers, what he's showing on him, he appears to be a Zaichi Ryoshu, which is basically the Seryujin variant of Lord. It's a landed lord.
Would it be somebody that would be known to anybody, or are they kind of interchangeable at that level?
I would say you've probably done your research since you were coming out here. So he would be known to you. His name is Harige Kafu.
And is he like the lord of this area, or I don't know what the hierarchy is.
Bakuyo. He's the lord of the town.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, I will approach and show the appropriate deference and introduce.
He bows his head. You notice that, feature-wise, he wears simple, mons on his shoulders, a kind of leatherish haori, and it looks like he has a very clear and distinguished kind of scar across his face. When he kind of bows, and shows you the proper deference. He says, you are the priest that was sent out to assist with the blessing. Is that right?
Yes.
Very good. Well, if you'd like, I can lead you up to the shrine, or he kind of looks to the two ladies who almost look like kind of longingly, like they don't want him to go. He says, I do have some business that I have to attend to here, but you can head up yourself if you'd like. Entirely up to you.
One can never have too many blessings for a day like today, so I'll look at the charms as well.
Okay. They, offer some different charms that are present. It looks like most of the charms that are here are elemental charms. So kind of the 4 elements, and there are also charms that are associated with the ancient races that I mentioned, the 5 ancient races. Like there's a long-tailed cat with a kind of large kingly mane. There is a crow symbol, and so on. A turtle shell kind of charm, etc.
Okay. I will probably ask for a 1 for fire, since that is my specialty, and then probably water as well, since it's clear that this region needs some water blessing going on.
Yeah. And he will, after kind of discussing something with them and decide as you're kind of going through the charms, say, I can take you up now if you'd like. All right. And you head up with him, kind of up the long wooden steps to the shrine. When you get up to the top, there are 2 individuals who are already present here, and you kind of hear the hushed whispers of a conversation between the 2 that just immediately dies off the second they are aware of your presence. If you'd like, the 2 of you can make a perception check to see if you catch the tail end of it. Otherwise, we're just going to assume you heard nothing.
Sure, I'll try.
I didn't even hear what the Lord was saying a minute ago, apparently, with a 5.
Mm-hmm. What'd you get, KG?
Wow, we are real perceptive.
Okay.
This is some damn good water. How is the well water? Is it
It's really
crisp?
good. It's really good.
Is it enriched with lots of minerals? Okay.
It's
love it.
it's definitely very good. So the region you'd be kind of familiar with, the lowlands which you're in kind of are close to rocky hills and then kind of like small mountains, and it's known that the mountains are volcanic, so there are a number of spring wells there and abouts. But that said, as you make your way
Find a
up,
hot spring, exfoliate my luxurious skin.
2 individuals present. One doesn't introduce himself. He appears to have an iron mempo kind of over his face with strange markings on its side, and he seems to kind of look to the Lord a little kind of dismissively. And before introductions start happening, kind of shuts his fan and kind of starts walking past you down the steps, almost dismissively, like he does not have time for you. But he will be named later, but he looks like this, and he just walks past. And the other individual who's up here, it's definitely an amalgam of strange. He has kind of heavy garb. It's almost like he's wearing kind of an armor of cloth, and he's got a number of different leather satchels, and he's carrying a staff with a strange gemstone, and in his other hand, or possibly on his belt at this point, is what appears to be a stick with a handle. That said, yeah, he appears to be the priest, and the Lord would walk over to him, bow, and then look to you and say, this is Kaga Benjiro. He is the priest who has been assisting us with transference, and hopefully he will supplant the former priest who unfortunately has passed from here to the realm of ancestors. Benjiro nods and says, hello. You are...
I am Kaneru Saza, and I'll gesture to my guard here.
He says, I thank you for coming. I do appreciate it. Any assistance in this matter will be most beneficial. It has been very difficult for me these past few days. And you see him, when he says that, the Lord kind of like narrows his eyes a little bit. And you see that Benjiro kind of almost sheepishly kind of like stop and says, you can help with the and he kind of moves towards the shelves, which kind of are where you place different aspects of blessings, and it's very similar to Shinto, but again, I don't want to butcher the specifics because I'm not 100% familiar with it, so I don't want to get too into the weeds on that. So respectfully, he kind of starts beginning the process there and kind of gestures for you to help.
Yes, I'll begin helping with preparations. Does the Lord stick around at that point? Or
the Lord stays at the top of the steps and almost kind of watches on, kind of like, just passively. KG, I assume, does likewise and is probably standing with the Lord.
I mean, I would stay close
Okay.
to, the consort that I have here.
Absolutely. So, watching her perform these rites alongside Benjiro, the thing that you kind of are immediately vibing or feeling, Zaza, is the spirits have like a feel to them that you could kind of, if you've been around the spirits long enough, you can kind of get an idea of their resonance. It would appear that this space, this shrine here, is very much heavily kind of influenced with the spirits of fire, which isn't too great with the wooden building. Meanwhile, Saishi, Name, and my brain, Seiji, finished the food rigmarole, and I assume at that point kind of linked together because your goal is similar. You're moving towards the shrine. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. When we get to this one bridge, though, I would pause and feel the breeze that gets created from the waterfall cascading down. And go.
It does feel good, but what it does feel too is weak. Like it's not a very strong spiritual aspect for the water here. It's very strange.
If there's any ritual cleansing I need to go through before I approach the shrine proper, I will do that back perhaps at the water.
Yeah, so
well with the bunks and things.
I would actually.
So I'll go through the appropriate things that I'm supposed to do politically, and then I will approach the shrine.
Absolutely. As the three of you approach, you do see the guy I spoke about before, and Name, you would recognize this individual as Uchada Sojiro, and he is a kind of a vassal lordling, a member of the same kind of courtier circles that you delve in. However, he is not an imperial city individual. He's more of kind of a rural courtier aspect. And his presence here is a bit odd. As
his name is what again? So I can write it down.
It's Uchida Sojiro. And I'll go ahead and hit the show on that one. It should pop up on your top.
Sojiro.
And he kind of seems to take notice of you, but he doesn't seem to approach you or anything. He just kind of moves beyond as if he's kind of heading with intent towards the bridge, possibly out of the festival proper.
I'll keep an eye on him since his presence is so strange, but I suspect it would be somewhat faux pas for me to intercept him in any meaningful way.
Absolutely. So yeah, he continues on and he makes his way across the bridge. And you folks make it to the base of the steps, just as. And let me make sure we know where everybody's at when this starts. Do 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 do. Do do do. Do do do.
Do 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 do.
Music stop.
I'm loving it.
As you're performing the ritual, Saza, and kind of going through the initial segments of the blessing, Benjiro seems to make a misstep. And what you watch happen is the shelves, there's like an ignition, a flare of fire that kind of appears and kind of catches to the wood a little bit. He panicked, very quickly moves to try and kind of buffet the flames. Do you do anything in response to that?
I would assume that is a very bad sign, especially given what I picked up on earlier. Can I use like thaumaturgy to try to summon up water to
or gust it out?
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. So you do very quickly, deftly kind of dismiss the flame, and as that's happening, that feeling of fire resonance very much kind of like becomes more lingering. If this were being filmed, it would almost be like the snap zoom of like a Sam Raimi movie, kind of like the fire and kind of like focusing on like you as you're realizing this fire buildup is present. And at that moment, those of you at the base of the steps, Saishi, Name, and Seiji, hear kind of screams from the townsfolk, and immediately start seeing these sprites of fire kind of flying up over the tops of the trees and kind of coming down onto the tops of them. Bear with me here for a second. Oh, that's not what I want. Sorry, wrong thing. Initiative, this guy. All right. And almost like immediately, like in response to these things, the trees become alight with flame. And a lot of the other aspects of the area do as well. Very, very sudden. It's almost as if like moments become just a source of kindling. And unfortunately, this map, you'll see that the vendors are gone. The map is presented by Sispeku. We really love their maps, and I use them all the time. Imagine the vendors are there just for the sake of role playing, and also imagine the plans are not as insane.
Okay, gotcha. I was about to say, think that real hard, real fast.
It's not quite
This
Towering Inferno. Yeah,
you're not going to take fire damage or anything. Not for the first few kind of points of this.
There's definitely a column of fire imp things coming towards us, though.
The creatures that are coming up over the trees.
That cool breeze from the waterfall you were experiencing?
Not so cool now.
Gone. So I will say, in these kind of moments of kind of chaos, the vendors are very quickly rushing away and kind of moving away from this road. The imps are coming up over and kind of dancing atop the flames, and the people are kind of screaming and moving away from the road and kind of rushing away from it as this large column of, well, I'd say large, I mean short column of small imp-like creatures without wings start marching towards the Torii Arch, heading towards the shrine. That said, this is more narrative beat than initiative combat fight. So I'm going to go from left to right and kind of work through what each individual person is wanting to do in these initial kind of moments, these few minutes that kind of lead up to everything kind of going forward. So Tom, since you're kind of like right at the heart of the fire, what would you like to do immediately on the start of this?
So are the sprites like on the ground walking around? They're not like flying around doing.
There's some
crazy.
that are on the trees that are kind of more impish, and then there are some that are kind of marching along the road heading north that are more magman like.
Okay, but they're heading towards the shrine itself is the gist of it.
Yeah. Building someone in the side chat.
Oh.
Huh.
Okay. I will probably aim to move towards how far up do these stairs go?
So it's about 30 feet up.
Okay. I will probably aim to get a little further down the stairs and then do. Are these fiends and celestial creatures? What are lost creatures? Are those demons? Like, what's kind of.
These would definitely fall into the purview of demon, if it's one of the options on your thing.
There's fiends and celestials, then there's
Fiends.
lost, and okay. So I will try to move a little ways down the stairs and use the resonance that I have from being at a shrine to do a wide enough threshold barrier at the foot of the stairs to prevent them from passing through it without having to make a wisdom saving throw.
And how much bonus favor do you get for being on
I get 2. It's a 0 base favor cost. It is 1 additional favor to increase the line by 10 feet, so that would make it a 25-foot line because it's more than 15 feet wide, so I have to do that. And then I will use the 1 remaining resonance favor and 1 of my personal favor to hasten it to be 1 action as opposed to the 10-minute time.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to make the barrier blue. Is that a good position for it? Further down?
However, it is on me, so I can't move like super far and drop it, so that's probably a safe point.
Cool. So you kind of rush down the steps and kind of very quickly kind of, throw salts and water down onto the ground, and you can see the spirit barrier form there. Cool. And KG?
I would move in front, like basically just blocking these. I mean, they can fly, obviously, correct? They have wings.
Some of them.
Okay. Well, I'll just put myself between them and Saza, and I'll use my action to go into Oak Stance.
Okay. The 3 at the base, so whenever you go for Dieter, Seiji is ready to be there with you. Or if you want to direct him to do something, that's also fine.
I'm doing a double check on roll 20. I'm looking for turn order because I rolled initiative, but I got no turn tracker.
Oh, I didn't turn a turn tracker. We're not in combat yet. Sorry. I will.
I see. No, you're good, my man.
It's okay.
Gosh, I'm trying to see what my class has to offer in such a strange situation. So, am I next to all 4 of my party members?
2 of them.
How close?
They're within.
I'm adjacent to 2 of them, and the other 2. Is this map true scale? So I'm like 5, 10,
squares.
15, 20, 25 feet away.
Mm-hmm. You can move up and be closer.
What is even good in this situation? I'm gonna roll 1 of my super courtier dice and give it as temporary hit points to my good white tiger homie, and I just have to figure out how to do that because it's not
just roll a d8
programmed onto my character sheet.
Actually, I think if you click the speech bubble.
Yeah, baby, there it is.
All right, so he has 8 temps, right?
8 temp HP to the unnamed Byaki.
Byako Seiji.
I keep saying Byaki because I'm thinking of this friggin' monster from the Cthulhu games. Byako Seiji. Seiji's got 8 temporary hit points.
Perfect. Cool. He is going to take a defensive posture and kind of hold his ground with you, and say, I think we should take refuge in the shrine.
I agree. I will take my move action to move toward the shrine.
He will follow? and they will kind of
5,
move
10,
up
15,
to your
20, 25, 30.
Um,
I am.
So you understand as you're kind of being walked past Keiji, you see Seiji. I know names are very.
It is what it is.
It was intentional. He kind of rushes up toward next to you. You see that he's holding the scabbard of his weapon, and it's just kind of loosely holding his hand atop his sword, which you would know as his house's very specific stance. He's even though the sword is inside of the scabbard, you know full well that in a blink of an eye it would be cutting down any opposition.
Yeah, I do.
Saishi, anything that you want to do?
I think it's best to join these people in the defense of the shrine
or temple. And so I would. Can I? I can. I would move past the barrier. As a bonus action, seeing as we might be getting ready for a fight, I'm going to use battle meditation to shift myself one towards the yang axis.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually I think I might actually do this too. I am going to do an externalization. I am going to manifest haste. Do I want to? It's gonna be 3. Yeah. I'm going to cast haste on the white tiger fellow who seems, unless you want me not to bother buffing the NPC.
Do you? No, it's fine. I would say that Keiji is probably more someone you've talked to and associated with. No, neither. Seiji would be your call. Mir Dan.
Well, okay. Well,
I would say Keiji looks like he's more of a stout fighter, though. He is in full armor, like great armor, and is like very much, yeah.
All right, I'll cast haste on Keiji then, so if he needs to, he can run out and do even more carnage on these creatures.
Very good.
All right.
You might notice I'm not really left Saza's side, like through all of these interactions. You may have seen us travel. He does not rush. I'm just letting you know.
No worries.
He's always adjacent to Saza.
Okay. And so in my response, I'm going to go through a bit of a narrative beat here, and then we're going to kind of get into an initiative order. Several of the imps that are close to the shrine kind of fly up and kind of land onto the wood. Some of them start ignitions as they kind of hit these points. Almost as if they were kind of like just firebombing themselves into these spaces. And they're quite fast. But it seems like they're kind of striking these positions. Once they kind of hit the ground, the imp-like creatures kind of dance, this strange kind of just excited dance, and are kind of like screeching out towards the heavens as well. You'll see that others kind of move towards the bridge, and as they kind of take hold there, a man in kind of a brown russet kimono with the symbol of like a town defender on his arm rushes up onto the bridge and draws his sword and very quickly strikes one, knocking it into the water with a loud sizzling pop. The courtier sees what's kind of going on, and then you can hear like a yell over the din of the flame as it starts to become a more steady roar from the protector guy on the bridge, and he yells out, "To me, I will defend you!" And the courtier kind of rushes and like almost kind of bows down and cautiously kind of hides behind this man as more of these creatures descend down from the treetops, kind of landing on stone, landing on the railing, and landing kind of blocking their escape. More still kind of rush down, and it looks like a column of these creatures move towards the Torii Arch, but stop. And Sasa, you would recognize that since you've created a barrier here, Torii arches are basically kind of just generations of like the shrine itself. They're kind of just a gateway to the shrine. So since you've created a barrier at the kind of apex of the, or the center of the steps, it seems that kind of just magical spiritual block has kind of also pushed out to the Torii Arch. So very good move there. All right, that said, it looks like the creatures on the shrine already are moving around the outside of the barrier unconcerned and are making their mischief therein. So I'm going to go ahead and cue up a bit of fight music. And we now have an initiative block.
I was at a 6.
Oh, yee.
Yeah, it's on there. And if you rolled an initiative from before, Dieter, you can just go ahead and roll an initiative and change it to what you rolled before. Or if you get higher, you can keep it. I don't care.
I don't give a shit either.
Make sure you select your token and then hit roll before you didn't do it.
Oh my god! Why did I just select my token? I only have control of one character.
Yeah, hold on. Here you go, and you rolled a 17. Cool. You're on there. And then I'll do a Seiji. Of course. Roll initiative. Cool. Sending. All right. So he looks to you, Name, and just kind of like nods his head, not without consideration, but you see that he's kind of taking motivation for himself. He rushes up the steps, and kind of stands in front of the governor of the town. And you see him kind of like take into position, falls into a stance, and seems to be kind of ready to strike. Saza, you're up next.
So there are several that are already up here by the looks of it.
Yeah, some of them just kind of flew up and onto the path there. Definitely a couple on the right and one over here on the far left, starting a big fire.
Okay, I have an incantation that soothes the anger of Lady Sun's lost children. I'm assuming these don't count as that, or do?
They would not be those.
Okay. I do not have a lot that I can use in this particular situation. I mean, I can shoot fire at one of them. That'll surely be productive.
That'll teach them.
You have fire, I have wind.
So I will move up the steps here. Oh, hey, apparently it does cold damage against things that naturally produce flames. All right, I will use Call of Cinders, which will somehow magically produce cold instead on this one over here. Let me look at my...
You're sucking the heat out of it.
Yeah, that's right.
You can make heat go up or heat go down. And you're
it's a call. You're calling to the fire, you're not calling fire out.
Calling down fire, yeah.
Yeah.
So
hey, fire, do my bidding.
I definitely am in a flammable location, so that's one bonus favor.
Yeah.
Is it sunrise, sunset, or noon?
It was noon.
Okay, so I have 2, so I will use that bonus favor to increase the damage dealt by an additional 1d10. So let me roll an attack roll and see if I'm actually going to be good at this game.
I believe in you. Wait, stop. Can I give him a bonus now?
So as a reaction,
When do I do bonuses?
If you have a reaction bonus.
I don't know how this game works.
It's okay. So real quick.
He is targeted.
Yeah, it's defensive.
Right.
But 15 is going to hit. You were targeting which one? The one all the way over here? Oh, 30 feet. Okay, got it. And then go ahead and click on the, I guess, show spell description. That might roll damage. Let's see. Nope. So it'll be...
No, you did apply...
oh, okay.
You did make an attack, so I'll roll it twice since it's a d10, so it'll be 10 cold damage total.
Okay. So you immediately kind of push forward and kind of drop the temperature in the thing. You watch as its frame becomes more kind of stone-like, and less just kind of magma-esque, and it just kind of falls to the ground like a small little just statue, little trinket.
And I'll just flick away the heat that I sucked out of it and to disperse it
into the area. Okay. Staza done. Saishi, you are up.
Yeah. Don't see any great use for an externalization right now. How high up is from like here, from this position to here, and is there actually flames there, or is that just the map?
Yeah, it's just a map. So the main fire sources that you'll see are going to be here and here, that are actually on the top there.
So this pictured fire is actually fire.
Yes.
Okay, so I can't climb up that. That'd be into fire.
Correct.
Okay. I'm wondering if I should go help the people on the bridge or not. Yeah, I'll just move up the stairs and get into a position. I guess I'll come up and take the dodge action and wait for an opportunity to or already in action to strike one of these imps if it comes within range.
Okay. Cool. Name?
Okay, so I'm not really not excellent battlefield support. I'm gonna be perfectly honest.
No, it's not your role.
I can force somebody to take an action that I have seen them take.
Yeah. So they definitely have been burning stuff. But they've
Doesn't
also
have to be an enemy, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So can I force Tom to take the call to flame to extinguish the flame on another one of these little fire mosquitoes?
You sure can. So go ahead and click that ability. The speech bubble next to it should have an option there.
I'm trying. Assume
I believe in you. I've always have.
I just got to figure out which one it is because I got to read them all again every single time.
It's the yeah.
Bubble. There it
Move
is. Move as your own piece.
Now you can spend any number of intrigue die up to your proficiency bonus. So a total of 3. You have 3.
Perception check.
Yeah.
The total must be higher than their passive perception. Tom, what is your passive perception?
13.
So roll up perception.
13. My deception is a +7. I'm going to roll 1d8.
Okay.
I just type 1d8. Will it roll it? Or do I
the d8's already in. If you look at the bottom of your block that you just posted in the chat, see at the bottom it says intrigue die?
My 2?
Yeah, you rolled a 2 on the d8.
That is dog.
It's not great, but then you still have the roll. So on a d20,
So I have to roll deception for this one.
Yeah,
so
you need
here
to roll
we go, babe.
4 on the dice.
We're looking for a big +9.
Yeah, you nailed it. So
It's a 21. I forced Tom to call the flame out of another one of the mosquitoes. I keep saying mosquitoes only because when I zoom in, it looks like sturges on the map. I don't know what they actually look like.
Yeah, they're like imps. They're fire method or magma methods.
I mean,
not for long. They're not.
No, not at all.
They're not gonna. Oh God.
Do you want this one here?
Yeah, the closest one, obviously, because I'm a chicken shit and I'm scared of it.
Nailed it. Go ahead and give me 2 or the damage on it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to roll it 2 more times. I meant to click on that and
the biggest one.
One more time.
Biggest one.
7.
I'm making the calls. I'm pulling the strings. Biggest one.
They're all pretty much the same, but you do exactly the same thing. You kind of draw the flame out of it, and it just falls to the ground. It seems like they're especially vulnerable to cold damage.
I, for one, am shocked.
Who would have thunk it? Okay. KG, so it looks like the one here...
Wait, can I pause?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Is the front gate of the temple open?
So the temple doesn't really have a gate. It's kind of just a shrine inside. It's not like a large space inside.
Okay.
Yeah. And
there is the barrier.
Does there appear to be any safe position that I could take cover? Or am I in immediate danger literally everywhere because of the fire?
I would say close to like the actual shelves of the shrine proper would be fine.
Yeah, because my barrier duplicated around it, correct?
Yeah.
Can't click my. Okay, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I'm going to move toward the group and try and get safe.
Yeah. It does look like there is a door like far in the back, but it looks like it's a big wooden door that's kind of closed, you know?
And flammable.
Just, taking advantage of my move action, doing my thing.
Solid.
Also, I suspect it had to be a creature within 5 feet, so I actually moved first, and then I did that.
Absolutely.
Continue. Sorry.
No worries. It looks like defensive-wise, you're doing great. Do you want to initiate a stance? I forgot to say, do you initiate a stance when you start the initiative roll?
I mean, I was going to go into oak. I think I already said I was an oak. But
that's perfect.
It's not very beneficial to me at this time.
Deep in defense.
Yeah.
As a bonus action, you can switch on your turn to something else.
As a bonus action?
I believe so, yeah.
Well, yeah, then I'll switch to... Fuck, I don't know. Ember stance. That seems fun. Seems beneficial.
Apropos.
Fight fire with fire, right?
Right. Before I do anything, I'll look to Saza and just look for... I can go on the offensive, correct?
Yes. I'll
Cool.
gesture at the one that's, there's at
No.
least that one over there, but wherever you can go.
That's not the look I'm doing. I'm gonna basically
dash.
Take my extra action to dash.
Oh, your speed increases with haste too.
Yes.
By 30
so
feet.
I'll move 120.
Uh-huh.
And then I will run here. Part of the movement action, I guess I unsheath already. I don't know.
Yeah.
That.
It's incidental. And with paired weapons, you can unsheath both at the same time.
Okay. Attack. 6 slashing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then I will, I guess, finish my retinue. So I have another. So I'm dual wielding this. I have offhand attack as well. Like whenever I use my full bonus action, correct?
Right. So yeah, you technically have 2 actions. One is a haste action. You use that for dash, and then you have your regular attack action, which will give you 2 attacks, and then you have a bonus action, which will give you a second or a third offhand attack. So that'll hit as well. And then are you going to make your third attack against it? Because you haven't killed it. I know Saza's making it look easy, but she's using cold.
Between. No, I'll move between, and then I'll attack the other one that I'm basically drawing the ire of both of these.
Perfect.
14 hit?
Yeah. All right, solid. They both look like they're about half strength, so solid stuff.
Okay.
You see the man on the bridge kind of look over to you, kind of nod in like a kind of Bushi, like Tabushi kind of mentality. At the bottom of the initiative, the NPCs will go. That includes fire things. So he was responding, so he was reacting to them. So they're going to move in. It looks like 2 of them kind of rush him. And miss him. You can see like flames kind of wrapping around him. He's very deftly kind of moving away. His Hakama pants are like not getting touched by the flames. But you see that the other one that jumped up on the railing kind of start like flapping its wings and kind of pushing like fire gusts towards the courtier, who's like, ah! And you can see like flames start to rise on his clothing. He then responds in kind by, instead of dealing with the ones on his own, he actually provokes opportunity attacks as he kind of steps into their space, then steps back out to attack this one. You see him very quickly kind of slash, and cut the thing in 2, and it kind of just falls backwards off of the bridge. And the attack that was made after him missed. You would recognize the stance that he is in is a duelist stance. It's not a Bushi stance. So he's in Willow stance because you're martially trained. You would know he's very much kind of intending for those opportunity attacks.
This is Sojuro, right?
This is this guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jiro. I thought it was Sojuro.
You haven't met this guy yet. Now, that was at the bottom of the initiative. The creature's up on the thing. This one kind of seeing the situation kind of jumps down and kind of moves behind the priest. This one flies up onto the roof here. This one kind of just starts playing idly in the flames over this way. and this one kind of does likewise. But the one that jumps behind the priest kind of catches his attention, and it looks like he was very much trying to right the wrong he had made in the blessing. And when he kind of turns around to face the thing, you can see like all of the color go out of his face, and he's just like absolutely like knew this was going to happen kind of look, and absolutely defeated. Okay, hold on a second here. Bear with me. I'm gonna need a couple seconds here. Just.
You're fine. Take your time.
Because I am a more than gracious dungeon master. Joe woke up. That boy worked hard. He fell asleep. He no good at stay awakey. So I sent him a thingy to hopefully join.
Welcome, Joe. You're gonna be in between a bunch of elementals.
Just a couple seconds here, folks. Thanks for being patient. The birthday boy himself.
Dick the birthday boy.
It's like I know Joe, though. I absolutely called him being asleep. I sent him like a 30-minute like reminder. This is your courtesy call. He works like a billion hours.
Worth the wait, audience.
Oh,
Worth
yeah.
the wait.
Yeah, you'll see. Oh, on his initiative too. Oh man. Since he's not replying directly, I'm gonna go ahead and just get through this next round of initiative just to keep pace. He is going to zoom, and he is going to katana, two-handed, and second attack will miss. All right.
Actual Joe wouldn't have missed that second attack.
Probably not. Very kind of deftly draws the blade slash, and then as he's kind of whipping the blade, the second one not catching the creature, more just catching flame, he kind of throws the flame off with a chiori, which is kind of like a ceremonial kind of discarding of blood from the blade, in this case fire, and then he very quickly resheaths the blade, placing his hand back on top of the hilt. Saza? The one up top you can see kind of playing on the tiling.
Okay, I will move over to here, and if I go around it, I'm not going to provoke an attack of opportunity, I assume.
Yeah, as long as you stay adjacent.
Yeah, and then I will do good old Call of Cinders to the one that's up there again. Nope. I'm going to assume an 8 won't hit.
Correct. All right. Moving on from you to Saishi. That one that's behind the priest is definitely a nuisance.
Mm-hmm. Looking at my force of nature, do I have to target everyone in the sweep, or can I choose like between allied and foe?
Throw it.
It does just say each creature.
Yeah, it would be everybody in the sweep. I would say, let's see.
I was gonna run around and then Saza went where I was gonna go to try and
You can actually go here and then sweep in a fashion so that
kind of like cuts a diagonal.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Let me actually get this. Boom.
Well, part of it too is to try to push him away from the priest.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen now.
I would suggest possible different externalization on this.
Let's see. Entwined dust. All right, we'll just go for a. Do we want to? resonating strike, yang energy into a strike, causing it to reverberate. All right, so my bonus action will be battle meditation to shift myself one step closer to yang. Now I'm in a balanced state. And I shall spend on a hit. You can spend a number of hit dice, so I'll spend 2 hit dice. I shift twice. And on a hit, at the end of the target's turn, suffers radiant damage is 1d6 plus your con modifier. All right, and unarmed attack. 25 to hit. Why? Thing's up and I can't.
What's happening?
I can't hit the thing to show damage.
You clicked the word unarmed? I just clicked it for you.
All right, thanks.
No problem.
No, I have a glitch where it has like a little black bar blocking the very bottom of the...
Weird. So yeah, bam. Does a little bit of damage. It doesn't look like it puts it out. But yeah, you can feel the resonation kind of quake through the liquid stone as you kind of push back on it with your fist. You're pretty certain that it may not survive. There's a good chance that it will not survive the next hit. Or the resonance, rather. Name, the one that's kind of directly in front of Seiji looks pretty well damaged. The other ones look like they've been kind of absconded with. There's one up on the roof as well, but yeah, besides that.
Can I melee attack that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how do I, is there a way for me to select it in Roll20?
Yeah, so if, well, you don't, no, sorry, there's not. But if you, you know how to make an attack, right? The center kind of.
Yeah, I click my button on my character sheet.
Yep.
Oh.
Tabo.
Oh.
That'll hit. Go ahead and click the thing.
What's the thing?
So in the chat where it says Iguchi, do you see in like the actual little box there?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, there it is.
All right. So a solid hit, not enough to kill it.
Attack rolls are fine.
And it has been a while since you've been in the community, but just to let you know, you have done what is known colloquially throughout the group as chatting something. That means you've reduced it to exactly 1 hit point remaining. Because Chad Houston, who I'm sure you're well aware of, is notoriously infamous for doing this shit. He hasn't done it in a while lately, actually. Hezrod is pretty sound at just fucking murdering things, but
that's why he has the destruction domain stuff, so he can just mix everything and not fuck with that anymore.
Overkill is better than under Chad kill. And I respect the trip. I respect the mentality.
I am full of bitterness and irritation.
Directed at Chad.
I'm gonna take it out on Chad later.
Yeah, it's not my fault. KG, it does look like the other samurai here with you is very much skillful, but it does look like he is, again, outnumbered. And the ones that are far away look like they're trying to burn the Torii Arch, but it's not burnable because it's made of stone mostly, and wood portions of it look like they're pretty well sturdy and not going to be burned through, if you get my meaning.
Yeah.
I do.
So they're pretty dumb. Yeah.
Well, they're not. Yeah, they're not smart. Sure.
I'll attack the one behind me with my first
they
attack.
clearly didn't pass high school
offhand.
physics, and they don't understand the properties of these different elements.
Does that finish the one behind me?
It does not.
4 damage, and then I'll finish the same routine. Oh.
That's not going to hit. This is a bonus action attack?
Yeah, this is the bonus action.
That'll hit. Go ahead and do damage. Yep, that'll kill it. And then as you kind of pat into it, you still have one more action you can use for your attack if you want to swing at the other one.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that'll miss. All right, and you still have some movement if you'd like.
Like 120 feet of it.
Yeah, you could go 120.
60.
Oh yeah, 60. You're not dashing.
I didn't bonus action.
Well, not bonus action, action, but haste action. I get you.
Yeah, I'll hop up onto that. Do I need to balance or anything?
You can make an acrobatics check for flavor. and then we'll move on to the NPCs. I will try and draw this out because it does appear that our birthday lad is taking a pregame dumpster. Good for him. I will announce. I will announce his shit literally on channel. I don't give a fuck. The priest.
Live streamed or recorded for later posting.
Feel free to clip this segment. But
okay, good to know.
The fire creatures start kind of like just annoyedly kind of trying to get out of this clusterfuck. I need Saishi. Is it the end of the turn for resonance? At the end of his next turn. Yep. So Saishi, Name, and I guess if you want to, Saza, you can make melee attacks. Seiji will also throw one.
20.
Okay.
I assume they've killed it.
All right. Yeah, it definitely just kind of splatters as it's kind of flying up in the air, breaks apart into pieces. Small little embers of it kind of fly up into the sky, almost like someone was kind of like pushing, wood into a campfire. It just kind of flutters up into the air in bits. So I'll just put it over here-ish and it just kind of cascades outwards and up. Okay. The one on top of the roof kind of jumps across and just kind of lands on the other side, starts a fire over there, completing the arc. These ones here, seeing the situation kind of unfolding, and an almost kind of bestial sense, kind of just start rushing out and into the forests beyond, kind of leaving little dots of flame, kind of backtracking the way they'd come in the first place. The creatures on the outside all just kind of break apart into rubble. And there's now just like a pile of just mostly just like volcanic stone kind of crumbled. Pumice, I think, would be the term that I want to use. Just like a nice cake of pumice kind of out there on the road. The imps here are annoyed that they can't breach the lair and their allies kind of disappeared, so they just kind of rush off as well, scared. And what you're noticing from the tops up on the shrine, I'd say Saza and Saishi mainly, as you're kind of positioned. No, I would say Nami and Saishi rather, since you're kind of positioned for this. Would note that the creatures seem to be kind of moving out in kind of like an envelope around the Torii Arch and kind of heading back towards the road, like they're heading out and away towards the town, maybe? You're not for sure. Seiji will keep his sword sheathed and kind of move over to here, looking up at the thing, not able to do anything. And Saza, I assume you're going to... Oh, sorry. I have to fight myself real quick. Hold on. Okay, I kill all these guys. They swing at me. Miss. I swing at them. Hit crit. That'll kill the one I was chopping on, and that'll kill the one I was not chopping on. Perfect. And then Seiji doesn't do anything.
14 hit.
That will. And go ahead and roll it. 2d4 or 2d10. That'll kill it. All right. Saishi, it doesn't look like there's any immediate stuff around you. Do you want to kind of just like focus in, or do you want to do anything around here?
I want to. I will approach the priest and see if I can help assist in him completing the ritual.
Go ahead and make a religion check as an action. And while that's happening, Nami, are you doing anything in particular?
Is there anything particularly constructive for me to be doing? Where are there foes within reach?
No.
I mean, I'm a courtier. I'm not flying off into the woods to chase down an imp, so...
It looks like throughout the entire time there, the governor was just kind of standing around annoyed.
I will attend to his emotional needs.
It doesn't seem
I
like
will soothe.
it doesn't seem like he's it's almost more like a manager who's upset at his staff for like dropping a bucket full of chili on the line, more than a person who's watching a part of his town be immolated.
Haven't we all?
Joe, welcome to the chat there. If you want to click into Zoom, you can. If not, that's fine too. We're using this for voice.
Bo Barack, you better fucking log into Zoom so I can look at your pretty face.
You can't see Dieter's face. But yeah,
I know my camera's not working. You know what I look like. You know I'm sexy. Okay, so I'm still gonna go to the governor, and I still want to use diplomacy in some meaningful way.
Okay.
Not working.
In a 6
try
second.
and soothe his feelings because I don't want him to take out his feelings on the shrine attendants.
Go ahead.
Whatever created this is not the responsibility of the people at the bottom of the food chain. And I'm gonna
make a persuasion.
I want to get their good graces because I want them to gossip to me all the good shit. So I'm going to prevent them from suffering by soothing their manager's feelings.
Persuasion as a action.
And I roll.
And then
I got
with
17.
With your 17 with your religion, it does seem like you understand the correction of his mistake, and start working towards it in that regard. As he sees that you're capable, he's good. Okay. And he kind of gets up and pulls the wand from his belt that I mentioned before. And I'll explain his actions here.
Those big numbers, babe.
KG? Huge numbers. Okay, yeah, you definitely, he has, anything that, like, in the very quick 6 seconds that you talk to him, you recite some kind of poem where he realizes, like, the context of it. And
this reminds me of the great tale of Genji Goku-sama, who was kind to his
You're referencing your L5R character. What are you doing?
I don't know. You told me we were using Adventures in Rokugan. I brought all the knowledge that I had, which admittedly was very little.
Fair.
But it's what I thought.
Fair. Yeah, perfect. You tell him you now canon in my campaign setting. Perfect. KG, one attack out of the itinerary should kill him, please.
Do you want me to do it or just kill him?
That's fine. We'll just say he's dead.
He's dead.
Although I would have loved to watch you roll 4 attacks and miss each one of them. But I will go ahead and move past that. Okay. As the fight completes, the priest and Saza have the ability to kind of temper the flames, as you saw with Call the Cinders. And they start working together to do that on the shrine first, and then moving out through the space to kind of assuage the flames there. Because this map is no longer important, I'm just going to drag us to the baseline. And I am going to very deftly and precisely explain where we're at to Joe as a quick mid-story recap. Well, it's actually a little more than mid, but so just so you know where we're at. You were protecting Dieter's character, coming here to oversee the blessing of the shrine. During the process of the blessing of the shrine, something went wrong, and then these crazy fiend creatures started jumping out from nowhere, seemingly, and attacking the shrine area and the festival that was around it. You kind of moved into defense to kind of hold a defensive posture for Name. You cut 1 or 2 of them down, and then everybody else did cool stuff and helped fight. So a massive big fire happened, and it's been put down now, leaving the shrine kind of covered with scorch marks, and a couple of places where it looks like the structural integrity of like the porch around, or rather the kind of deck around, is kind of suspect. You can see that after the conflict, Benjiro, the priest, you see him kind of not only using his invocations, but he also uses the wand, which appears to release large orbs of water that kind of displace and splash about. Very curious that he had such a precisely useful item for this specific event. And he kind of shaking his head, kind of crosses his arms, looking over at the at Hage, the town kind of leader, annoyed, and almost kind of "I told you so" kind of look on his face, Benjiro's face.
Ooh, these motherfuckers knew this shit was gonna happen. Oh,
Sounds like your
I'm
specialty
gonna
there.
chit chat here and there. Oh man, what a surprise! Whoever could have seen this coming? Man, it is almost as if this shrine is displeasing to the spirits. And whoever fucking shows their tail first, that's the motherfucker that I'm gonna spend most of my time talking to
It's
until they
Benjiro.
spill all the tea.
It's Benjiro immediately. You hear him kind of huff a sigh and kind of look at the wand and kind of put it back into his belt, just kind of angrily, like looking at the.
All right, I'm using. Okay, my character sheet that I use says that I use flattery to get what I want, so I'm gonna flatter him. Oh, Benjiro-san, it was so fortuitous that you had such a mystical item on you at the time when we needed it most. May the gods bless you and your family for 1,000 generations for being here to save this temple to the deities. Blah, 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 blah.
He
I want this motherfucker to tell me what's up.
He says, in response to the flattery, he says, "I was only ready because I knew what was possible here." And he kind of stops because you can see that Harage Kafu, is kind of looking at him annoyed. And Kafu walks over to Nami in the midst of this conversation and says, "Honored guest, I do apologize. This is in part my fault, and in part the fault of others," looking to Benjiro. "It was considered that the transference would not be welcomed by the spirit in the shrine in the mountain, due to the fact that this place seems to be spiritually aligned with the elements of fire, whereas
Interesting.
the spirit in the mountain is very much aligned with the spirits of earth. The spirits here, according to Benjiro, shouldn't be aligned as they are, and I have explained to him that I do not care for excuses. I care for results." He swore to me that he would be able to fix this matter, and Benjiro kind of lowers his head in shame and then says, "It's not my fault. I will take what Kafu-sama has said as accurate. However, I did not explain that I was able to right these issues. I explained that it might right itself, which obviously did not happen."
Oh, you holy men speak of things that are not of my purview. I am but a humble courtier. I know only that the fire was the fault of these wicked and rambunctious spirits, and that Benjiro, spelling question mark, Benjiro was prepared for this eventuality, and that makes him a thoughtful man that I'm very grateful for.
Perhaps I
Throwing
can
obvious
assist.
shade, throwing obvious subtle shade at his superior, who
Thassa says, "Perhaps I can
tried
assist."
to blame him.
Hold on, Peter. The other priest. Go ahead, Tom.
Perhaps I can find some answers. You seem quite capable of speaking to people, but perhaps the answer can be found with spirits as opposed to mortals.
Well, and that does not work. Then I can commune with nature itself.
We got a lot of people we can talk to.
A lot of things.
So, John, I linked commune with spirits. I have 2 bonus favor because technically a place of power. So I will do it to expand the range for a longer, for the full 1 minute cast time, to sense if there are still any elementals, fiends, or undead beings in range, whether they're invisible or anything else. Are they all gone at this point, or are they still lingering?
The elementals are gone. It does seem like they were not native to this specific space. The spirits of fire are present here, but it's no more. I wouldn't say it's any. It's not like a hot zone.
Yeah,
pun intended.
Just background noise, kind of the stuff that is attuned with the area. Okay.
But what you're noticing though is that the shrine itself seems to have a very kind of like fire element to it. And what you're realizing is that the wood that appears to have been made, used to make this thing up, is very much wood that seems to be kind of strangely spiritually aligned to spirits of fire for some reason.
The parts that were on fire, do they look like it actually burnt at all, or okay? Mm-hmm. And then I will do a second.
Oh, sorry, hold on. To that point, not only does it look like they were burnt, during the process, they went up like crazy. Like there's no way the wood, especially the way it looked like it was treated and painted, should have lit up like that. Like it was definitely different.
Like where by the Tory Gateway or whatever at the front of the place, the wood there didn't get burned.
Yeah, no, it looked like it was completely in the rights, not structurally bad. The shrine itself, for some reason, the wood was very elementally infused with fire spirits, and so the second these things hit, it was like throwing a match into a gasoline. You know, it's like whoosh.
How does wood get infused with fire spirits? Is that like the type of wood? Different woods have different.
That was going to be my second cast of this, again using the favor to increase the specificity when I ask for guidance or creative answer to a problem I'm solving, which is fire element. Where the fire resonance in the wood came from.
Absolutely fair. So the answer you get is that these trees that were used to make this were taken from an old forest that was built, or that was like to grow up on the mountain, and the mountain is a volcano, and so they were very much infused with these elements of fire because of their proximity to this kind of great spirit, this great kami of flame, the volcano itself.
So just for my own clarification, with blessing the shrine, I know we mentioned water a few times. Are they trying to attune it to a specific element, or what was the ritual actually trying to?
Sure. So each shrine has its own spirit that is host there. This one does not appear to have one. And that's typically, if you're moving a shrine to another shrine, the spirit host is moved from shrine A to shrine B, and that's what a transference is.
So we were attempting to bring in a water spirit based on what I could tell from the ritual, or what?
It was almost as if they were trying to call a brand new one, yeah.
Okay. But not specifically water or anything else, just they were trying to call a spirit to this. And
what do they get?
Fire.
Where exactly did the materials from the shrine come from?
They were... the priest kind of chimes in. They were, and you see Kafu kind of immediately kind of like almost trying to like wave his hand to kind of cut him off, but Benjiro not really paying attention to that subtlety, but Nami very much seeing that subtlety and watching Benjiro walk through it. He says they were provided to us due to the Uchida family.
Well, the wood is from a volcano, so when you attempt to bring a spirit in, it will of course naturally be inclined to fire. So by building the shrine, let alone trying to call a spirit into it, you can see how the balance has shifted in the area, the leaves falling.
The next vibe you get, Name, from Benjiro is he's kind of crossing his arms and kind of nodding his head along with what Saza's saying, and kind of looking over to Kafu like, I told you so. Almost like an expert or someone who's kind of like backing up what he was saying. He has that look on his face like that. Cutting from you folks, though, real quick, and moving over to Keiji, you can see that the individual with the Iron Mempo, Uchida Sojiro, looks like he was wounded in the attack. And you would see that this samurai fellow kind of briefly looks to him as, has been looking over him as the fires have been put out and time has passed. And he kind of looks over to you and says, well fought. Very skillful with the 2 blades. Not exactly my style, but kind of stands and gives you a samurai salute and says, my name is Kojima Jiro. And you would see that the weapon he is holding appears to have like a very ornate ivory kind of hilt and Mokugegane kind of stylings on the Suba and the pommel and the like. And his wakizashi is very similarly kind of ornate. He has a jite, which symbolizes him as a member of law enforcement. And by the marker on his arm, you would assume that he is a yoriki, which is basically like a magistrate of a town or area.
I was happy to oblige, but I fear my efforts weren't needed. You seem to dispatch them flawlessly. I nod in kind, and
you seem to move with the grace of the wind. Your assistance was very much appreciated.
Well, perhaps the grace of a bird.
Mm.
I look to...
Oh, the Tengu.
Yeah.
Nods his head. You see the guy with the iron mempo kind of like, fixing himself. And it looks like a part of his kimono has been kind of used to wrap his wound.
Yeah.
And
I'd say you'd want to cover that. You don't want to unveil some of your lost composure.
He kind of moves sweaty strands of hair back into the kind of tight kind of grip of the rest of the hair and kind of looks at you and says, quite. And then, Jiro says, do you wish to return? And the Sojiro says, I have business elsewhere. And he kind of turns and looks over his shoulder as he does a curt, very just quaint bow to each of you, and then very quickly moves away from the space. And this is about the point, Saza and everyone, as Banjiro is basically saying Uchida family was the ones that sold the wood for the shrine. He's like, I gotta go.
Kojima Jiro, what do you know of that individual there?
He is a member of a family that is noble and banner family to House Bianco. Other than that, I don't know much. Sorry, I keep to my business, he says, smiling, kind of
Keep
one of
to
those.
it. That's what you do best.
I'm gonna go check on those merchants who ran away. Hopefully none of their wares were damaged. And he kind of nods.
Thank you for your service.
You for your assistance. And he goes off about his...
I'll flip him a coin.
No.
I want to.
Don't do that. That's
etiquette. Is that inappropriate?
No,
He's already
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I got goal is.
I understand. Ameribrain
He's a
is
cool
like
guy.
Ameribrain's like tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, some
got
people
you.
are like, no, not so much.
No, yeah. This is my duty.
Fair. Anywho, back up onto the shrine, folks. So Seiji, just to kind of incorporate you, Name is apparently discussing the matters with these 2 individuals. One, the governor type, Harage Kafu, who is this guy, and he's the one who keeps on kind of being like hush hush. And then the priest, Kage Benjiro, is the one who kind of did the most to kind of help put out the fires, but appears to might have been the person who kind of summoned the spirit that kind of caused these fiends to attack in the first place. That said, do you have any like insights, or are you just kind of watching this kind of all roll out?
I'm just taking it all in.
Absolutely. Okay. So once that's all kind of done and you kind of come to the conclusion that you do, how would you like to proceed as a group?
defer to the priest who knows more about the matter of spirits than I do. I know that I don't trust the headman of this village very much, and that Benjiro seems to know something's going on. I would like to hear more about in private, but that's a political matter, not a spiritual one.
This town needs a shrine, but with the shrine as constructed, it will not be of benefit to the town. I'm not sure what kind of resolution there is for that. It's not as if I can change the very nature of the materials the shrine was built with, but it sounds as though there's some kind of part. Other places have fire shrines with no negative consequences. It seems like this is due to a conflict with the spirit in the mountains. Is that correct?
Benjiro nods his head and then looks to Kafu, who kind of gives a sign for him not to talk, but then you kind of see a smile kind of turn on Benjiro's face as he looks back to Saza and says, the great shrine up on the mountain broke before I came to be here. I had done some stints on the other side of the border in Parnan lands, as he kind of gestures towards his strange garb. He says, I learned a lot about the spirits there. They're not too different, no matter where you go. It's just that nobody really listens to them there, and that seems to be the practice of the leadership here. And Kafu kind of says, I warn you, you are being quite insolent. It's very unfair for you to speak this way. I gave you everything that I could, and I did everything in my power to ensure that you had everything you needed. Benjiro says, except for my request to return to the old shrine. Why did you bar me from going up there and taking the spirit down from the mountains with me? Kafu shakes his head. You don't understand. The reason why you were even brought into this place is because the last priest attempted to do that.
And what happened to the last priest?
He brought ill fortune down upon Bakuyo. Creatures not unlike the ones we saw today descended down upon our town. Not just this shrine.
So the ones that fled, those are no risk to the town?
If you were to kind of trail them off, it looks like they kind of bypassed the town, kind of maneuvered around it entirely, and kind of headed back towards the mountain.
Like they didn't really want to be here.
No, it's not so much that. Yeah, kind of like they were drawn here for some reason. And Saza, you would know the reason is because they were effectively called here by Benjiro, trying to bring a spirit forward and getting the one that he got.
We can't change what has already happened, but perhaps I can help negotiate some balance between the spirits so that they can coexist as opposed to wreaking havoc. No elements are naturally bad, destructive, evil. It's just the situation is causing them to flare out of control here.
Benjiro nods. I believe if we move cautiously and if we move with haste, we might be able to go up the mountain and persuade the spirit to come down with us. I don't think it's a matter that we should be... And Kaku kind of raises his hand. I forbid it. I do not wish for you to go up the mountain and bring down the curse that seems to be apparent on the old shrine. I need a new spirit. I will not have it. Benjiro shakes his head. Foolishness.
There is an unbalance that must be righted. We should go up there and commune with the spirit and see what makes it angry.
Kafu kind of lowers his head, then looks over to Seiji, second son of the House of Bianco, and then looks over to Nami and says, I forbid him from going up the mountain. I have no power to bar you from doing it. as he speaks to a mythical being, a Tengu. It's like, no, you misunderstand. I can tell him no. And you see Benjiro's eyes kind of light as Kaku kind of makes that suggestion.
As long as he gives us what we need to know locally, we shall go and commune with the spirit. Ah!
Do you wish to move with haste, or do you want to take a rest before you go? Obviously, the matter is pressing, according to Benjiro, but if you do feel like you want to rest, you can.
I trust Banjiro more than anybody else.
Yeah, he definitely says the sooner the better. Who knows what could happen here at this shrine?
Yeah, I am certainly ready to address matters now.
Okay.
I mean, ideally, a short rest would be great, but if we don't think we have that, it's fine. I can take a level of exhaustion and keep going.
Oh, that's loud. Okay. So you head on past the town. Quite little town. You probably passed through it when you made your way up to the shrine. And then you head up the mountain. On your way up, you can very clearly see the old shrine. It is a massive stone structure kind of built into the side of the mountain. From a distance, it looks like there are massive chimes or bells kind of slotted in alcoves next to a massive wooden door. And atop the wooden door is a series of faces. But in between you and that big-ass door, a grand step beset by 2 Fu lions, and a small little portion of town that seems to kind of run up a series of switchbacks that go up towards the shrine. And I will give you a visual representation now. And I will move tokens over to it so you have representations of yourself therein. Looking at the shrine as it stands, or rather looking at the space here as it stands, it looks like the town is pretty much run down, but there are some people, or there are some signs of life therein. The very first signs of life that you see, can't make him small. Why can't I make him small? The first signs of life you see is it looks like a small little shop, and there's a merchant kind of sitting there, looking at you as you approach, and he's kind of smiling, and he says, "Well, welcome to Bakio upon the Mount. How can I assist you?"
We are here to commune with the spirit, to see what upsets it.
Well, if you wish to go speak to the spirit of the shrine that was left here, it seems that it is imbued inside of the statue of Kukinojo, the Tengu, that sits outside of the entrance of the old shrine. I don't think that access to the shrine is possible anymore, as members of House Uchida have sealed the door with chains. Stop it, you little bad boy.
Yes, it does seem bad to bar access to the temple.
I don't disagree, but I have seen strange sightings come out of it before Uchida did what they did. There's an individual who resides here in the town and is always at the small sub-shrine, the memorial. I would say avoid him if you can. We call him the Dojigiri. Which translation, it's not so much a name as a moniker. It means monster hunter or evil killer.
That sounds dope.
But again, it's a translation that can be kind of phrased as a person who hunts monsters or a monster that hunts. So you're not sure what it means. Or in the opposite side of that, evil killer. It could be evil as the noun, killer as the thing that the noun is, or someone that kills evil.
Gonna need you to specify the emphasis.
He says, I don't know. That's why I said avoid him. You can mess with him if you want to. That's your choice as a group. But you can also just walk up to the shrine too.
I want to meet this fucking monster hunter.
Okay.
What a great video game series that has been.
If you take the switchbacks up, you can see that there are also a series of steps in between these buildings. There are some signs of life here. There are some signs that, like, some of the buildings are kind of shut or have been kind of boarded up. And that being said, if you do wish to approach the individual at the memorial, how would you like to approach him? He definitely seems to be very much kind of in the process of performing some sort of ritual at this memorial.
Anybody have any insight to offer?
If you don't have a lead, you can just pass him and go up to the Tengu statue.
I'll use detect thoughts.
Okay. And are you going to just detect surface thoughts, or do you want to?
I will start with surface thoughts.
Okay. He seems to be very much focused on someone named Baiken.
Does that name sound familiar to me in any way, shape, or form?
Baiken is a surname, not a first name, and it's not terribly common in these parts. If you have history trained, it might be, but since you're the only one reading the thoughts, can't really.
I'll lean over to KG, if that's you, right, Dan, and ask if you recognize the name, since I'm assuming I know that you are familiar.
Do I have this my history? Does it?
Baiken is the name of a house. It's actually just a peasant family that rose to power due to the marriage of an individual named Baiken Masame to a Byako Seishan Subeda, who was featured in the puppet play earlier. These two wed, and now the name Baiken represents not so much a family or a moniker of someone of import. It instead refers to a loved one. It's very similar to saying like a Juliet.
Does me telling him all of this information in front of Arata?
He doesn't seem to care.
Does not give a fuck.
Yeah,
Okay.
unless you're like right up on him talking. Like he does not. If you're a good distance away, just watching him, you're fine.
Sounds like he mourns the loss of a loved one. Let's not disturb him. Saza will continue. Whether or not anybody else follows or goes to interact with the dude is up to them.
I will follow behind Nami. Whatever you decide to do.
Peter? Nami
No
following.
commitments. I'm happy to go to the shrine.
Tracing follows. Okay, so everyone heads up to the shrine. Oh, I'm sorry, Saichi. Do you have a...
I will go to the shrine of the Tengu.
Up at the top of the kind of series of switchbacks, you see a small step that leads to 3 small paths. One path leads to a shrine, which looks like it's been used. Like it's not, disbanded. There are offerings that have been left out. It looks like pretty much all of the precious things that are present in the town have just been left out at this shrine. And then the 2 pathways that lead into the outer wall here, kind of up to the larger door beyond. But this statue, you recognize, is not a Tengu. It's an Aarakocra, which is a bit different. Tengu are related substantially, but Tengu are more aligned with the spirits, whereas Aarakocra are kind of not. I forget the name of the what I'm calling them in Seiryu, but they are not Tengu. There's something else, and I forget the name that I'm giving them because I'm a dum-dum.
disrespectful. This is not a tangle. This is a whatever they're called in this setting.
Arakakra for now is fine.
Arakakra.
As you kind of say that and are looking at the shrine, you see shadows in the statue that just aren't really explainable.
Sounds like a good opportunity for another Commune with Spirits cast.
And as you start to perform the invocation, you see the shadows drip off of it like liquid and then slither on the ground in front of it and start to form and coalesce. The entity that appears before you is very much a spirit, but Sansa, you recognize it as a spirit in shadow. What that means is, explaining it in a D&D perspective and also the element that you would kind of understand it from Sansa's perspective, shadow is very much what you think it is, the plane of shadow, the realm of death. If a spirit is in shadow, that means that it has lingered outside of the spirit realm, which is kind of closer to the ethereal, into the plane of shadow, into death, and has kind of migrated out of that, encapsulated with that essence. The entity that slithers before you appears to have the legs of a serpent, 4 arms, and kind of a feminish frame, but it's completely silhouetted in black. You do not see any details of it at all, and it looks like this. Other than, the detail that you do see, bright gold eyes, not too dissimilar from
Hey, now, hey.
But
don't you dare associate me with Kali Ma, the Destroyer.
But hers appear to have cat slivers instead of pupils, like Nami does.
Oh, not me at all.
What? Another priest? A ritualist? What do you want of me?
I am here to help both you and the town. This discord is wreaking havoc on the town.
The town gives me great gifts, and you seek to steal them from me.
I seek to negotiate an arrangement that works for both.
What do you offer me?
What is it that you are getting from the town, and what do you wish to get?
Their fear causes them to return these things taken from me to me. And I will strengthen them. What do you offer me?
What are those things? Can I?
It's a bunch of treasure. It's a shit ton of treasure, and to give you an idea of how to kind of scope this, dragons just have treasure and gain power from it. This spirit appears to be similarly greed-driven.
I assume if my detect thoughts is still active, I can get that same impression regardless. I don't get anything surface thought-wise out of it.
Actually, yeah, you wouldn't get any surface thoughts from the spirit. It's very much immune to that kind of sensor.
Seems pretty evil, yeah.
It does. But, again, what do you have to offer it? Name and everyone, it's not speaking to Zaza in a strange tongue. It's very much speaking in Chinese, like it's the common language that you're all associated with. So, yeah, it's fair game if you wish to treat with it.
I have no possessions.
They basically gave me the equipment of a monk. It's bullshit.
I have a hood. Maybe
no
a bone
money.
from what I was eating earlier.
I believe Jijo said earlier. It looked like you. What did they say? It was. I love Tim's babushka.
Yeah.
Minushka.
From my religious training, is there like a purification ritual? Like, what is the traditional approach when something has taken root in shadow?
Yeah. So, a good means of purifying it would be finding the death that seems to be lingering upon it. You can definitely try to.
The recent individual that maintenance the shrine prior, maybe.
Yeah, but you remember that he died because of this thing. It's presumed that she killed him.
What
What about his lover? The lover!
Good idea. What do you say specifically when you say the lover? Do you say anything in particular, word-wise?
I forget what they what was the term for the guy?
Are you the Biken?
I am not. Yet I am. What matters?
Biken bound to you?
Does not matter. It is mine as well.
I will use my telepathy to communicate with Akane to pass a message along that perhaps the person mourning at the shrine may be interested to know that his beloved is somewhat intertwined with this creature here.
Peter?
I lost a little bit of that.
Sorry, I'm
There's a lot
passing a
going on
message
that
to you
was
with telepathy about
very religious.
yeah. So this elemental spirit apparently is somehow bound with the dead lover that evil monster hunter or monster evil hunter, whatever translation it ultimately ends up being. The
This
spirit of his
homie down in the middle of the map.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the spirit of his lover appears to somehow be bound up with this elemental spirit. Yeah, so he might be interested to know that if you want to go communicate with him while I, deal with this
We'll
very
go make
angry shadow man.
a diplomacy check to that effect. Am I at all off put by telepathic communication?
No. It's something you would be very familiar with, being a creature of your nature, and it's also something that's very regularly done in court.
That's how you pass secrets.
Yeah.
Did we get a name or anything that I can use to throw around to add weight to my argument?
The Biken is what they're calling the dead lover, and then Doji Giri is the name of the white-haired fellow at the monument or the memorial.
Deceased lover of Doji. What's his last name?
It's just one name. It's just one name, Doji Giri.
Doji Giri.
Yeah, Doji's not a surname. This isn't Rokugan. It is close though. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to go talk to him? You take Seiji with you?
Yes.
Of course. All right, the two of you head over there, and as you kind of approach him, you hear kind of a rattling of chain as you get close. He kind of turns and looks over his shoulder and kind of pulls out a Kusurigama, kind of like stretches the chain a bit and looks at you, and he says, "Leave me. Do not need your assistance."
I walk up completely nonchalantly. Assistance? I didn't come to offer assistance. As I get closer, what's going on? What is this? He just being a mopey bastard? What's he doing?
Yeah, it looks like he's performing a ritual of sorts, and from what you can tell, it looks like he's doing something, but you're pretty sure he's, again, not religiously trained, but you're still confident enough to say that whatever he's doing is not right.
You appear to be offering obseisance to the spirits there. Might I give you some pointers? Again, I didn't come to help you. I don't know who you are.
Sounds like you're trying to help. He says he kind of.
Oh no, believe me, I literally don't give a shit about anyone but myself. I'm not here to help you. You can piss off for all I care. I'm actually here to offer
he kind of
honor to the Biken who guarding the shrine, you're actually kind of in my way, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I'm gonna be vaguely insulted while dropping the name of the dead lover.
He says, "What did you say?" Bike it.
Yeah, yes, the spirit guarding the shrine, causing all this trouble. A spirit trapped in shadow who's not had their life's shit resolved. And I'm here to
just
do
kind
some
of
prayers that find help.
Stupefaction just kind of glazes over his face, and he kind of like takes the weapon and kind of puts it to his sash, and then kind of gets up and almost like in a trance, and kind of like muttering without like actually voicing anything, starts kind of walking past you two without concern and heading up the shrine. It's almost as if he's kind of like detecting, or like it's almost as if he's like kind of taking the steps for the first time, like he's never walked this way before, and he just kind of makes his way up, and eventually,
oh no, we've awoken the cold agent.
if you follow him, you see the entity kind of watching him move towards it. And you see
Seiji going first, to be clear.
Yeah. You see him walking up behind Seiji and kind of moving up to it.
Real quick, if I may.
Mhm.
Seiji's following. I assume he's walking at a normal pace. He's not running because that would be awkward.
Yeah.
I, however, am going to check out this little shrine space where he was doing his business and see if there's any, like, maybe important tokens, intimate tokens that he might have been using.
So,
and grab that shit, and then I will catch the fuck up as fast as I can without.
It looks like, and this is a bit strange, in this culture to kind of see this. It's a very long braid of hair that appears to have been cut off.
I snatched that shit up and I took it with me.
Yep. And meanwhile, Seiji, you kind of move up, and you see him kind of look up to it. She looks at him. And they're kind of looking at each other for a very long time, strangely.
While I am just going to prepare to put another barrier up if it looks like one is going to try to strike the other or something like that.
Okay. It'll definitely cost favor to get it up quickly, and it doesn't seem like there's any benefits here, resonance-wise.
I'm just saying I'm readying it so that if I see that, I have the ability to interject with it, that's all.
Giri kind of, or Doji Giri, because it's not his name. I said that already. He says, curiously, like just kind of annoyed almost too, "Why didn't you answer me?" And the eyes kind of take on this look of sadness in the entity. And as like they do, you see him just kind of fill with rage, kind of draw the Kusurigama very suddenly. And Saza, you're knowledgeable enough to know the barrier is not going to bar him. And he rushes forward.
There is a version of the barrier that bars living creatures.
Oh, then yeah, if you want to throw it, you can.
Yes.
Can I also make an action?
Yeah.
I think I have. Wait, no.
And Seiji, also, you would be as more than able to.
I guess before I do want to question whether or not, from my training, somehow defeating the spirit would resolve the problem as well.
It could, but you're not 100% sure. It could be bad too.
What do I know about this shrine and the location prior to this whole situation? I don't know.
Not more than you already know, yeah. And Saishi, this is definitely the disturbance that you would have felt, by the way, this entity. Just want to make sure that's clear. It's not the other shrine.
Right, yeah. And it's basically just trying to determine what do I think is the right path. Is it to protect this and try to purify the spirit? That means we almost have to stop the guy running at her. And so that's where...
If you do... I'm just going to put it to a vote, and then we can kind of decide. The vote is mainly for the people who are present. So, Saza, you have an option to stop. Saishi, you have an option to stop. Keiji, you have an option to stop. And Seiji, you have an option to stop. So, since you four are pretty much aligned here, you can vote. If there's a tie, I'll let Dieter break the tie. So, KG.
No, please don't put that pressure on me.
Too bad.
He does that to me all the time, man. It's
KG. Dan, do you want to let him approach the creature in this?
I'm following Staz's cues.
Okay, then let's go ahead and ask Saza first.
Given the malevolence of the spirit and the fact that it seems to be wanting something, my concern is that it's probably not going to be easy to negotiate with it, so I think I won't stop him, but depending on how the fight goes, I may try to put a stop to it once the spirit's weakened.
Okay. That, Dan, it sounds like withholding, so not stopping it. So are you not stopping it as well?
Correct.
Saishi?
Nah, hell no. I would fight each other.
And Saishi?
I'm.
Well, it actually doesn't matter. There's 3 votes for the other, but so what you watch happen is the Dojigiri kind of rushes forward, spins his chain, kind of whips the scything weapon towards it, and you see one of the hands just kind of lazily reach up and grab it, the blade kind of cutting into the inky flesh of this spirit. Flesh, for lack of a better term. Its eyes kind of sadly look to him, and she kind of just... You can hear kind of weeping coming from the spirit. And it's almost ghostly in that it doesn't sound like the voice that was coming out of this creature before. You see the darkness of the spirit start to kind of drip away like ink. And as that's happening, you can see through the Dojigiri, almost as if he were not really corporeal. And as you watch the vengeful ghost that was Dojigiri kind of become incorporeal, and the whip of the weapon kind of fall to the ground, the inky blackness that kind of drips to the ground stands up and appears to be a maiden, similarly garbed to the Dojigiri. Looking at his attire, white, ornate, and kind of ceremonial armor, you realize that what he was wearing, what he was kind of portraying forward, was wedding attire. And the form that appears in front of you here, this maiden, also is wearing wedding attire with a wedding veil over her face. The spirit that's left behind is nothing more than kind of a gaseous form with the golden eyes kind of floating there, but it's a soft kind of purplish hue, which Saza would denote that this is a spirit of earth that's floating here in this space. Stop it, you bad baby. Sorry, I have a bad cat.
I don't say that to the spirit.
It would be wise not to.
Bad baby.
He's so bad. And as these two kind of look to each other, the earth spirit kind of, the sad eyes kind of stay with it. They don't appear to have been the eyes of the maiden ghost that was kind of touched to it. It lets out a kind of soft, almost kind of gravelly sigh. I will allow you to take me down the mountain, but you must take these things with me, gesturing to the treasures with its kind of spiritual form. These two will be allowed to pass into the shrine and finish what they were going to begin here. If not a new life, at least something in the afterlife.
And at least together.
You take the time to kind of perform the ritual to remove the spirit and imbue it into effectively a fetish, which is kind of a thing that imbues spirits or the essence of living things in it. Shout out to my Sunday game. And then once that's done, you take all of the other treasures and baubles and return back down the mountain to Bakuya, to the shrine specifically. I assume. Is there any other things that you want to do? Okay. Anything that you folks want to do once you get there? Any inquiries into any of the NPCs that you've met so far? Anybody you want to talk to in particular? Etc., etc.
Victor, Clint, Dieter, Big Dog, you want to harass that lord some more?
I mean, I will write a stern letter to his superiors, but
Hey, yo, check out this asshole is what the letter's going to say, right?
When you do...
Here's the question.
Go ahead.
This is a John DePrey question. This is an out of character player to DM question.
Yeah.
Given the cultural setting that we're in, would it be appropriate to shame him publicly and demand that he duel me for honor, and then to name Jobo Bobrak as my duelist?
It might be, but the thing is you're focused on it. When we get back to town, the two people that are kind of present there at the shrine are the governor and Benjira, the priest. It's almost as if they were waiting for you. And the time that you took getting up the mountain, the time that you took getting back down the mountain, there was a rest somewhere in there, so long rests if you'd like, but you would have arrived back like in the next morning. And it's almost as if they were waiting for you there. Benjiro, sensing it, says, I knew it. You see, Kafu? And Kafu kind of looks to Benjiro. You were right, and I apologize. I cannot stress enough my humble apologies. I do feel that we were both slighted and wronged in this way. The promise...
Get cut down.
The promise is that we were granted by a dignitary. Have served us very poorly in this regard. He looks to Nami. I do ask that if you are going to take this to the Imperial Court, make sure that they understand that I am still loyal to the Emperor for as long as I live, and my life is forfeited if they request it.
Mm-hmm. Does he seem sincere? Can I make a check?
Very sincere.
Well, that's fine with me.
Benjiro.
I mean, it's not Rokugan, right?
Yeah. It's
like
not
a mistake is not reason enough to kill somebody.
No, not so much. But treachery is. And so think about what's been kind of played out in offer here and make any decisions you'd like.
We got the spirit down the mountain for the new shrine, yes?
Yes.
That's what I came here to accomplish.
And
yes?
You have succeeded.
I feel great.
Okay.
It's a good thing I was here to save the day. Slap Tom on the back.
Does anybody out of character want to kind of put in forth any ideas?
So, mentioning treachery, it seems like what's it called? The cheetah dude.
Cheetah.
Was trying to
Cheetah family is probably the
Cheetah
one.
family was trying to get out of Dodge as this thing was starting. Like, almost that he might have had some insight into what was about to blow up.
They were also the ones who sold the wood for the shrine.
So, like, they kind of supplied the powder keg with maybe not being forthright about things, waiting for it to explode.
Could be an interesting avenue for you to pursue if you wish to go speak to him. He is in the town. Perfection. Good roleplay.
Should we speak to the one who supplied the wood and glean some deeper understanding of his motivations?
I sincerely doubt that he will give you much a measure of time, even though your company is quite dignified. I don't believe Uchida and his family are long for this place. Benjiro nods. I suspected as much when you had the shrine built. Kafu says, I cannot apologize enough for not heeding your words. If you wish to go speak to him, though, you may. I will not bar you from that. And if he tries to seek solace from me, I will not stand in your way, Kafu says.
I'm assuming Uchida guy is far enough away that I couldn't detect thoughts from here on him.
No, he's a good couple of blocks away. If you want to go to the town, it would definitely be very easy to kind of pick up on.
Yeah. I will mention it has been a long journey. I need to make some preparations before we impart the spirit to the shrine. And as I'm walking away, I will detect thoughts to see if I can just pick up the surface thoughts of these two to make sure they're not trying to hide anything or overtly nervous on the surface, and then get in range of the Uchida gentleman.
Not at all. Yeah, Benjiro seems like surface thoughts are elation. He's very happy that he was right and everything is.
I just wanted to make sure that he wasn't suspicious of this happening for a reason of being involved.
It doesn't seem to be on his top tier thoughts right now. There is kind of a bit of a like I don't like Uchida. Like there's like this lingering thought like he wants to punch his face in, but like other than that, nothing. And then from Kafu, his surface thoughts are very much on Uchida being a dissenter, and he's well aware that their family is very inclined to move out of this place and make it so that it is not a place that would be beneficial for the Empire at all. And it doesn't seem like Kafu's surface thoughts are really sure why that is. Perhaps his deeper thoughts might have more an aspect why he thinks that's the case.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want people to know that I'm eavesdropping on their brains, so I won't dig deeper on his, because they know that I'm digging deeper regardless of whether or not they make the save, I believe.
Correct.
So, yeah, so I'll move into town to get into range of Uchida.
Okay. Is everybody going with Saza to the town to talk to this guy?
I am.
Yeah. I mean, since I suggested going to the guy, I'm with.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
You find Uchida, and his house does appear to have a number of wagons that have been filled with a lot of things. It looks like a very long process of moving out of these buildings that they're kind of placed in. And of the buildings in this city, they're quite possibly the finest. But Saza, you very quickly detect that the wood that they're made of very much resembles the wood that the shrines are made of too. And
I guess, quick interjection. Where the fuck is a volcano around here for there to be some ancient forest full of
that mountain that you were just on?
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Like probably off to the left and the right of that path that you were on, there were like old forests that were broken apart.
Is it far enough away that it would be a conscious choice to go get that wood as opposed to other?
There's better wood closer.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm getting at. Okay.
But it does seem like nobody would have had rights to the wood up on the mountain, and it would have been cheaper to just go into the woods, take what you want, instead of having to deal with the land problems therein. But you find Uchida, Sojiro, and he kind of annoyedly looks at you and says, "What are you doing here?"
What are the surface thoughts before I...
Anger. Very much annoyed at your presence. There doesn't appear to be anything else besides that.
I just wanted to personally invite you. We have resolved the problem with the spirits, and since you were here for the festival, I wanted to make sure that you knew that there was going to be the transference that you had originally been here to see.
The surface thought is kind of a fuck. Like an annoyed kind of like, God damn it. And he says, "No, I'm not interested. Thank you." And kind of and then you can kind of hear I guess it's plan 2, kind of pop into his head at the top of his thoughts.
I will make a quick warning to Keiji that something may be about to happen. And then I'll send another telepathic message to Akane to suggest that perhaps you pressure him into appearing at the ceremony. Since, you're an important dignitary.
I'll make those recommendations. Like, oh, but good sir, the distinct privilege that few people have of being at such a distinguished ceremony. Surely the shame of not attending would bring absolute and eternal financial ruin to you and every descendant you could imagine for 1,000 generations.
You see him kind of like his eyes flash and he says, "Truly, you would put such a threat upon me and slight me in such a way?"
I do not threaten. I can enforce nothing. I can only recommend to the best of my ability
You can
as a
enforce the waggling of your tongue, imperial scum.
I gasp in shock and awe at such an accusation. How dare you speak to me this way? We will certainly see that there's no more business for your family for as long as your name stains the records.
We do not care for business here or amongst you and yours. I will not be attending the blessing of the shrine. I hope it burns to the ground. And the circus thought is very much purely, and it will.
It seems like that was some kind of plan before.
Can we just
according
kill
to
him?
the spirits.
Can we just murder him? It's Dungeons and Dragons. We should be able to just murder him, right? That's how D&D works. He says, "Are you insinuating something, priest?"
I am simply admiring the fine wood
Nami,
of...
make an insight check.
Character sheet. Hold on.
No worries.
Everything loads so slow. Insight.
It's that fine Texas internet.
Yeah, 18's good enough. You've been in court long enough to understand when
I
someone...
got an 18 before I did. Great. Continue. Sorry, say that again.
You've been in court long enough for you to recognize when someone's baiting a fight. He has something in his sleeve. Like, you're pretty sure.
We don't know what it is.
He is trying to force you to make a faux pas where he can challenge you, not so that you can challenge him. The script has been reversed.
Well,
if
I sure as hell will never challenge him. I would get my ass kicked, but
Well,
I'm
no.
going to write a stern letter to make sure that his family's impoverished forever.
John means...
Hold on. Let me explain the political turmoil that you're currently in. If Saza's the one who causes him to challenge, Saza cannot, by right, call for a champion. The only people who can call for champions are people who are not a member of the samurai caste. So he needs to challenge either you or Saishi, or directly challenge someone who's going to gut him like Keiji or Seiji. Your choice. So,
But if I challenge him, can I name a champion?
then he would have to accept it. So if he doesn't accept it, it would slight his honor, but that doesn't seem like he's concerned terribly about that. It does look like he's more in a murderous way. So it's entirely up to you how you want to proceed. If you're wanting to engage him to try and challenge him, and you don't think you can muster the words, I'll allow you to make a deception roll. But if you do want to engage it with words, I'll allow that as well.
I, the player, have to think, how do I...
And Saza, you're smart enough to realize that he's... Also, you can feel it in his thoughts. Like, he wants you to keep sassing him so he can say you slighted his honor and murder you.
I am simply here to ensure that you know that the transference ceremony is about to begin after your family was so gracious to provide the materials for the shrine.
As I said, I unfortunately cannot attend. He looks to the carts. I have other pressing matters I must attend to. And
what could possibly be more pressing
Master
than the instantiation of a benevolent spirit to bless this town, and indeed to bless your family as members of this town?
Master Uchida, would you please grant me the honor after I ran to your service? I'm not saying that you owe me, but it would mean a lot to me and mine if you would just grace us momentarily.
Make a persuasion roll.
Is this?
I would say in the angle, yeah, I'll allow it. Roll. So, KG, you'll be rolling persuasion with it.
Fuck you!
He says, and this is a very interesting point, so I need you to focus in and pay attention.
Sure.
He says, "You hardly helped. No, it was instead my champion who aided me."
Or it was champions.
Ah, we know who his champion is. Ah.
Name, I'll give you a freebie on this one. He did just like Keiji's honor, but not yours. He did say Keiji did not help him, even though Keiji said he did. So it's kind of a dispute there. So if you want
full of love and appreciation, I, the player, have no idea what that means and what I'm supposed to do with it.
Yeah,
basically, he just insulted.
I insulted Keiji, which could be grounds for a fight, but it's not. It's not
Would
much.
Keiji have to make that duel?
Yeah, I'm kind of putting that to Dan as well, but yeah, I'm mentioning it to you as the person who notices it.
I mean,
He was also kind of threatening to me. That's all I'm saying.
But you're not allowed to duel him, right? Because you're not in the samurai.
I'm a samurai.
I'll get fucking murdered.
I'm a samurai, so am I just allowed? I'm a nobody. I'm supposed to.
Correct.
I'm not supposed to challenge people in duels.
But
how dare you insult my good traveling companion and dear lifelong friend?
So
I met you last week.
Will you stand there and take this insult on the chin like a fucking pansy?
well, hold on. Okay, to help, because it does seem like, again, some things look obvious to me and not so much to you, and maybe some of you have got it, but not. But Dieter, just make a deception roll for me, and I'll explain why and how you maneuver, because your character would see it. It's not a huge. Once I say it, you'll be kind of like, got it.
Deception.
Okay,
I don't know why that happened.
It's fine. I'm going to go with the second one. So you would note that Keiji is a part of your entourage. Any slight against your entourage is an assault against you. So you take offense immediately, and upon doing so, he realizes that he's offended the wrong person. And then you say, "You have slighted my honor. I seek recourse."
Dare you address my entourage that way?
And then he says,
only with the best. You are challenged, sir. The gauntlet is thrown.
I name my champion. Name yours. And he kind of looks between
who do you, John, want me to name?
Who do you want to name?
Who's the duel?
I mean, I want Joe. Joe, are you here? Are you
I'm
to kill her?
I'm so here.
Joe kills him.
Okay.
Joe kills him. Joe from stage left comes out with the steel chair. Didn't see him coming.
After the discourse, there is a build-up. A duel in this setting is a lot more ceremonial than a duel in Rokugan. Hard to believe. Sometimes duels in Rokugan are just a quick, trifling thing where someone's split in half and that's it. Instead, Nami, as a part of this ritualistic practice, you have to prepare your champion, which means you have to arm them in their ceremonial clothes and prepare the ceremonial weapon. And you can see that
sounds like a bunch of crane bullshit.
Fuck you. Seijiro is doing the same with his champion, who you now realize is Kojima Jiro, the magistrate of the town.
That's fine.
Well,
he'll be
is it
today.
Out of pocket for me to assist with Divine the Omens during this preparation to give him a buff?
I'm going to lead you into the process. If things are done before a duel in the tradition that will benefit the duelist during it, fine. During a duel, the only people that can augment the nature of the duel, and that's not by fighting, only by speech, are those that were challenged. So Seijiro and Name both can use core tier features in the combat so long as they don't require them to be in the fighting.
So I can dump all my core tier dice on these flourishes.
You can use defenses to basically badmouth. Yeah, again, the fight is actually between you and me, Dieter. Our implements are Kojima and Seiji.
So, John, does that mean that right before the duel begins, I could
well before it has to be something that lasts. It can't be like the next
haste
turn.
Wouldn't work.
Yeah.
All right.
Like if you cast haste on him, it won't work because it's going to be
Divine
longer.
the Omens works until the next encounter where it triggers. So I should be able to
more than fair.
That.
So that being said, Joe, we are in a duel. So, how a duel starts. We've already set the terms. The duel is to the death, and the tradition states that the person who initiated the duel must also die by being seconded by the champion who won, which means that you will commit the 3 cuts, and your head will be lopped from your body by the champion who bested your champion. It's happening here.
No pressure.
I'm gonna get my head cut off. Joe, don't lose.
Education and cheating. No poisons. No interference on your behalf. The weapons that are used are the daisho and the ceremonial garb, so no armor.
Joe will get +1 AC.
Correct. From the from the invocation.
I'm assuming I can't stack multiple of those, so I'll go with the AC as opposed to the temporary hit points, probably.
Correct. One instance. Stealthy cheating is something that can be employed and would have been a characteristic if Dan was playing the Hito instead of his current character, but Chedward's aside. Moving on. And then, again, overt interference pretty much just kills the duel, and whoever the person was interfering on behalf of will have a slight during the next bit. So, how a duel works, Joe. At the beginning of the duel, you and I are going to roll initiative. And I have to put up the initiative tracker. You should be able to select your token on there and then click roll initiative. Awesome, awesome. Why? Oh, right, I don't have a token to...
Rolling a 5, off to a good start.
It's okay, I only got an 8. Okay, so you have the first on the initiative docket, okay? When it comes to initiative rolls, you choose a stance. You can be in a stance to begin with. So feel free to decide that and then click the speech bubble on the stance that you choose. Next, we have the stare down segment, which is about a minute-long recourse where we just look at each other and prepare to murder the other person. Now, during this process, you're going to choose a number between 1 and 6. What I would like you to do is in your DMs and Discord, send me that number. I'm not going to look at it. My hands are here. I cannot switch off the screen. I'm going to type in the main chat real quick to prove that I'm not looking at that. So you're going to type in the DMs to me and just send a number between 1 and 6. Now this number, if you have the higher number, then that means you are going to have the decisive stance, or decisive posture rather, which means you're going to start even if your initiative isn't higher, but you already have a higher initiative, so that doesn't matter. But it means that you're going to, when he hits you, if he hits you, take extra damage equal to a number of d6 equal to the number you chose. I am going to choose a number, and likewise, I'm going to try to go first with that probably because I have a bad initiative roll. Okay, so did you send me the number in Discord?
I'm doing it now.
Okay, cool. I'm not touching it. I'm not looking at it. Okay. Now, I'm showing my hands, and I'm going to show you the number that I've selected. Ready? I
can't see your hands, but I believe you.
This is the number I select. It's 5. Everybody can see it besides you. I'm going to now look at the selection that you chose, which is 4. So mine is higher. So I am going to be going first. I have the decisive stance, and you have the watchful stance. So you'll act on your normal initiative. So that means that I will act at the start of the initiative, then you will act, then I will act on my normal initiative, and then we'll go back to regular initiative. Okay?
Okay.
You chose 4. That means I'll be doing 4d6 extra damage against you if I hit. My current stance is Willow stance. I will... Actually, no, sorry. No, it's just Dawn's Grace stance. I will now make 2 attacks. Now, your armor class is +1, and its base is...
Use timely advice.
You can if I hit. It's in response to a hit.
Is it?
15, 16 AC. So I'm rolling an attack. Okay, I hit, and I hit a 17, which means if you timely advise and roll a 1, it will succeed. So spend 1 intrigue dice and block. Or no, you need 2. So roll your...
For sure.
Right. Oh,
Figuring it
never
out.
mind. His AC is +1 more for Heron stance. So actually, yeah, you didn't need to roll. You could have just chose 1 intrigue dice instead of 2. The result of 1 would have succeeded.
You told me.
I'm letting you go. I'm letting you go back. I'm letting you go back. It's okay. So he
Get him, Dieter.
taking the decisive stance or decisive posture, rushes forward with Dawn's Grace stance and brings in a technique to try and bring in a solid strike against you, and misses by 1 due to a bit of timely advice that is spat out by the one you are championing right at the moment of the strike. You very narrowly dodge. Hand goes to the weapon. Your turn is up. How would you like to proceed?
Wait, he gets a reaction, doesn't he?
Well, he's marked for death.
Okay, so you react, mark him for death. Good. Which means you deal an additional d8 damage when you strike him next. Okay?
Yeah.
Additionally, you'll be doing 5d6 extra damage against him when you strike him next during the danger dice segment. So go ahead and your turn. Do you have any... Oh, and sorry. Because of the minute-long thing, we have maximum focus in a duel. So whatever your maximum focus is, you would have had. So it should be 5, I think.
Yes.
So if you want to use any techniques, like I just tried to and failed miserably, you can.
I do. So he actually like ran forward a little bit to strike me. Like what
You
was
were
the
probably
distance
like
that he actually traveled?
you're probably about 10 feet away or 5 feet away, like a nice gap in between. So he stepped forward and struck. So you're now adjacent. And Dieter, yes, the courtiers will be acting on 1.
Okay. I think the best thing to do is just the Dawn's Grace.
Okay.
And then like spend all 5 focus on it.
Okay. So 5 points into Dawn's Grace Strike. Go ahead and roll an attack roll. All right. Is there any bonus to your attack roll here?
Yeah, I believe so.
+5 because you spent 5
Yeah.
focus into it. So 19.
Yeah.
Will hit. And you see timely advice being spat out by the other courtier. Rolling my d8. And I only chose to roll 1, so I rolled a 1. I get an intrigue dice back, but I do not make the 4 that I needed to block that attack. So, shit. Okay, you're going to be doing 5d6 plus your normal damage, which would be a d10. So go ahead and click the Byaku
Plus a
Katana.
D8.
Well, go ahead and click the Byaku Katana damage. That's the base. Okay. So we're looking at 8. Now I need 5d6 plus 1d8 plus... Is there a damage bonus here? If you hit, your target suffers damage equal to your weapon's damage plus your ability modifier plus focus pen. So 1d8 plus 5d6 plus 5.
Okay, and then do what is it? There's something I have.
Oh, plus mark for death. Oh, we already got that d8. What else?
Severing cut.
Oh,
adds my wisdom modifier if I'm wielding the weapon with 2 hands.
yes. Great. So then your wisdom modifier is 3.
Yeah.
We're looking at 11.
Well, it's a 5. My wisdom modifier is 5.
Oh. Wisdom modifier is a 5?
I think so. Wait, no, it's not. I'm a 3. It's a 2. 2, 2, 2.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. So we're looking at 10 damage so far. So go ahead and roll 5d6.
Okay. The d8's in there too.
Okay. And then add 5 more. All right. Do you wish to describe exactly how that went down? Because you do cut him in 2.
I mean, he obviously makes the first attack, probably like an overhead going for the kill. and it's just like a graceful sidestep. Like this guy had no chance in the first place, and then in one cut, I draw my blade and fucking cleave him in twain.
Yeah. So as you kind of rising, like bring the cut up and kind of like raise the weapon to the Dawn's Grace, like kind of upward stroke, and he brings the Dawn's Grace in the downward stroke, two very similar techniques. Your movement is precise, and you kind of move with that bit of timely advice that you were given by Name to just step aside just in the right bit of time. Your blade rises up in, you feel it cut into bone and tear out through the side. It doesn't cut him in twain, but it cuts a very large hole, kind of cutting him from hip to shoulder, and blood just starts rushing out in a massive amount to the ground.
I'm pretty sure I have a picture for this, John.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have a video for it. And he drops to the ground. And the process that immediately follows is the ritual process of taking this man's life, allowing this man to take his own life. He performs the 3 cuts after his final haiku is placed on paper, and you cut his head off in one stroke. After defeating Uchida and the sad process of defeating Kojima-san, you, as a group, attend the blessing of the shrine, and the festival is present. There are some people that you saw yesterday that were there at the festival who are present and still in a celebratory mood, even more so now. And you can see that spirit of unity that you brought together between the Kenji, the rice wine salesman, and the white tiger food receptacle vendor, and you brought that unity between them. You can see that same spirit of unity between the priest Benjiro and the town governor Kafu. And as you're looking at these two, you can kind of see similarities in like the way that Benjiro was thinking in Saza. And Nami, you start to kind of think more about the political repercussions that were kind of present on Kafu's shoulders, kind of understand more his actions in this whole process. And the shrine is blessed, and the town of Bakuyo is spiritually brought back to balance. That is it for Way of the Ancestors. Thanks, patrons.
Hold on. Wait, did we have a D&D game end on a... I mean, we did watch some people get murdered at the end, but are we... Wait, we're having a game end on a positive note? Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
We did good?
The last Patreon game I ran, I killed the whole party.
Wait, was it Power Rangers? Wait, was there... That was before Power Rangers, right?
Oh, I mean, no. Yeah, it was. Power Rangers ended on a positive note.
Kind of. We had to fast forward through the action.
Yeah. Well,
this is what your money gets you.
Time-wise, we ran over a little bit, but you guys did great. Like you
be a patron, perfect. You can have happy. That doesn't sound right.
Thanks for watching those that did, and we'll see you around. Ciao.